I'm in the field, 2 minute drill, highlight reel, let's review, what's the deal, okay? Watching footage going out of control, buckle up, we got an hour to go, so let's go, that's straight heat. Ain't no chillin' around here, back that back, Nat chance, how we feelin' around here? Got my whole squad in the building around here. If my name ain't on it, then I really don't care. Come on. 3-point stance, we advance. Ball in my hands, I don't take no chance. Touchdown dance, that's my jam. No hot takes, this is nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. The G on the beat, hey. Yeah.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You like that? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
Release a production.
I mean, you don't have to, but it certainly makes it more enjoyable than slapping together the schedule, or not slapping together the schedule, but just putting it on like a document and sending it out.
And fair, yeah. I mean, it is the off season, so any content you can get that's quality and new.
You want to know when NFL content was at its peak? When every Sunday at the end of the day, you would hop on Instagram and you'd scroll through your feed, and the NFL would be highlighting the best stats of the day.
I know exactly.
And it would
what
just
you're
have
talking about.
Matt Ryan's number, his name, and then at the bottom, 4 touchdowns, 29 of 38.
Yes, and they'd have like the emojis to represent. Yes,
That was the best era or content era of the NFL. Nice and simple. I miss it. I wish they'd bring it back, but whatever. I guess we'll do without it. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the last show of the week. It is Thursday here inside of the studio.
I didn't turn the lav on. Hang on.
It's not on me, guys.
It's on now. It's on.
Look, this is what I'll tell you guys, too. Before the show, I even walked over there, got him fresh batteries, handed him the fresh batteries to ensure that this did not happen.
Sorry, guys.
So,
Look,
not on me. Don't point the fingers at me.
hey,
That's cameraman over there.
It's all of us. We do things together. We succeed and fail together, right?
I suppose. Not when it's your responsibility. You know, we each play a part in this, but you got to do your half of the show tonight. And so far, off to a rocky start for you. So,
Oh, no.
just saying. Just saying.
You're going to make a great father, dude.
Touche.
I'm very disappointed in you.
Touche. Yeah, we have a loaded show tonight for you guys. Got a lot of topics. We are finally going to hit which programs will have the biggest long-term benefit from a national championship.
We're going to do it.
Jared Curtis in the news line already for a reason outside of football. Hasn't played a snap, Kirby. Already starring in movies. So we're going to talk about that. There's some mixed signals going around the college football playoff at the moment. You know, we know about the discussions of it is going to expand. How far is it going to expand? We've heard some of the opinions, but there's differing opinions from some very important voices in the sport. Kirby's top 5 is happening today, maybe. The Athletic says it's the worst week 1 in years. Blasphemous, if you ask me. We'll get to that later. And we're going to do some fan base superlatives. Hopefully we don't offend anybody. These are just our opinions. We got a couple of categories that we're going to hit on and give you those there towards the end of the show. But before we get started on today's topics, make sure you're liking, subscribing, rate and reviewing if you're over there, over on podcast for us. Do all that good stuff for us before we go ahead and jump in today's show. We would greatly appreciate it. On the road to 100,000 subscribers. Play your part in that, please. We would greatly appreciate it.
Please.
But let's start with the news, Kirby. We always do. Jared Curtis starring in a movie, or has, maybe not starring, but has a role in a movie already.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is kind of unprecedented. Like I can't off the top of my head, maybe in a B-list movie, but I can't off the top of my head think of an active college football star, much less a college football star that has not started a football game, has not touched the field at all, starring or having a role in a large budget movie.
So, if you haven't heard, this is a Nate Bargatze film. The film is called Breadwinners, and I guess Jared Curtis in the film is wearing a Vanderbilt hat, I believe, if I saw this correctly, and is doing some car shopping. So, again, he's not like one of the main roles in this movie, but he plays a part in it. And if you remember back to last season when Nate Bargatze was on College Game Day, he made a pretty profound statement that he wanted Jared Curtis to commit to Vanderbilt, and this was during the time where Jared Curtis was committed to play at the University of Georgia, but Nate Bargatze, a Vanderbilt fan, doing his part, making sure that Jared knew that he was wanted from the Commodore fan base and at the Commodore football program. Ultimately, they're down to the wire. He flips to the Vanderbilt Commodores and is now maybe going to be their starting quarterback this year, and that's the thing about this. This seems to be the biggest topic about it is this guy, while he is a known commodity somewhat, I mean, this was the number 1 ranked quarterback in the country, a 5-star in last year's class. Like, it was a very highly touted player coming out of high school. So people know who Jared Curtis is. But from a collegiate standpoint, he is not a known commodity. Has not played a single down, yet is kind of getting treated like he is one of these things. And my take on this is we got into this discussion, I think, a couple of weeks ago, that while Georgia fans feel spurned by Jared Curtis, they don't feel like that. They got burned. I mean, let's be real. I mean, again, it was down to the wire in the very last few days of the recruiting class and on the last few days of National Signing Day where Jared Curtis flipped to Vanderbilt. So Georgia fans feel some type of way. Georgia, I'm sure, feels some type of way towards this. But what I would say is this further instills the belief that Vanderbilt was able to offer Jared Curtis things that Georgia just simply could not.
Definitely.
And that's past money. I mean, we talked about it in the sense of this guy will be a name in Tennessee, in the state of Tennessee. Like, he was a hometown hero at his high school, played all 4 years there, could have transferred anywhere if he wanted to, stuck it out at his small Christian school, his private Christian school. Now he's going to Vanderbilt instead of Georgia being a powerhouse in college football. Vanderbilt kind of being a lesser than, but has had recent success. And this is a guy that has done it all by himself, essentially, his entire career. And that's kind of the sentiment we got from him committing to Vanderbilt. But Vanderbilt could offer him, like, dude, your name will be etched into history much more here than it would at a place like Georgia. At Georgia, you're another number. You're another first-round draft pick. You're another NFL star. You're another guy that goes out there and wins a national title. Here, you're a guy that you might have a statue here someday. You might be that great for us. And it's seen through this of, we'll put you in a freaking movie, dude.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this is very obvious that Vanderbilt offered Jared Curtis a notoriety or lifestyle that was not offered on Georgia. Could you imagine if a Georgia Bulldog player who had not played a single snap of football was already starring in movies? Those just don't mesh well together. And honestly, the longer this situation goes on and whatever happens with Jared Curtis's career develops, I feel like Vanderbilt players or Vanderbilt fans are going to be more and more happy with their decision, as are Georgia players, as the way things worked out. Because on one side, you're Vanderbilt. Now you have a star quarterback who everyone is talking about, who everyone has attention on. That's never happened to you before. It happened a bit with Diego Pavia, but not to the degree it's already happening with Jared Curtis. Diego Pavia wasn't starring in movies. Diego Pavia wasn't talked about this much preseason before he even stepped on the field. And on the flip side of that, you're Georgia. You don't have a player who has become what people would label as a distraction. Jared Curtis drives a very nice car. He drove it at 17 years old. He's already starring in movies. Meanwhile, he hasn't taken a snap of football. That doesn't necessarily scream Georgia football, a Kirby Smart program to me. So I think that as time goes on, both of these fan bases, both of these programs are going to be very happy with the way things worked out. Because like you said, Jared Curtis is a hell of a player. I think we all expect him to have success, even if it isn't in the 2026 season. He is going to be a very, very good player at some point in his collegiate career.
Absolutely. I think it's cool that this is a scenario where NIL is being utilized correctly.
Yes, and that's what I was also going to say.
This is what we envisioned it to be, was you get to market yourself in this movie with Nate Bargatze in a small role, but your name gets mentioned in this. People know that you're in this movie. You get paid for your time and your image and your likeness. Like, that's what we all wanted NIL to be. So I have no bones about Jared Curtis having a small role in a film or anything like that. In fact, I don't have any bones about this at all, other than the fact of, like, if this is what it is now, like before Jared Curtis even like starts his college career, essentially, who knows how big this could be by the time he's done with college football? Like, what else is on the horizon for him?
Well, not only that, I think you have to make aware of the consequences just as much. Because, yes, Jared Curtis is a fantastic prospect, and we all believe he's going to be a very good player. But there's also the possibility that things don't work out.
Sure.
That Jared Curtis might not necessarily be the God's gift of football that he has been built up to be by some Georgia fans as well as Vanderbilt fans. So what are the repercussions of that if he doesn't win the starting job this year, or if he doesn't, he kind of falls flat, or if he has an underwhelming career? Because the backlash on that is going to be significant because this is so unprecedented. So I think it's just making aware of that, because you're right. If he does become a star, if he is everything that he's been labeled to be, he's going to be a very, very, very big football player, and he's going to be a much bigger star. He might be starring in TV shows. Who knows what the possibilities are for him? If not, there's going to be a lot of jokes made at Jerry Curtis's expense, which I'm sure he's aware of.
Yeah, I mean, that's just today's world of college football, though. I mean, anybody's at the expense of jokes or memes or anything. I mean, we just got done with a quarterback in college for the last 2 or 3 years of his career, where even before he was maybe not having the best season of his career, he was being made fun of because he looked a little funny. That being Carson Beck, of course. I mean, the jokes are still running. People still post him all the time. So anybody that's in the limelight of college football, especially as a quarterback, you're at the expense of the internet. People can say and do whatever they want. I mean, that's just unfortunately one of the costs in today's world of being a starting quarterback or a player in college football. So, all right. So let's move on to our next topic. Which programs, and this is one that we've been trying to get to for the last few shows, and today it finally makes its debut. Which programs will have the biggest long-term benefit from winning a national title?
Yeah, so I created this segment, I want to say almost 3 weeks ago at this point, within mind of there's a lot of programs out there that might have won a national title a long time ago or haven't won one at all that could really be benefited from just winning one. So what program from a future standpoint will be benefited most should they win a national title? What I mean by this is like the Alabama Crimson Tide. Yeah, that's great if they win a national title. Georgia Bulldogs, Ohio State, that'll be great if they win a national title, but that's kind of where the standard is right now. What is going to exponentially increase the trajectory of a program if they were to make it all the way?
Well, the first school that I have on my list is LSU. Would you agree with that? I have LSU on this list.
Yes.
I have LSU on this list because, and I like a lot of these teams, I would say them winning a national title benefits them long term, but it also makes them feel vindicated. Lane Kiffin would feel super vindicated if he ends up winning a national title at LSU, achieving the goal that he set himself out to do. Like one of the main reasons why he decided to go to LSU was because he thought it was a better job and would be a better place for him to achieve the ultimate goal of winning a national title as a head coach. And also, like things are already kind of picking up steam, of course, because they got Lane Kiffin. Like there's some momentum around that program, despite how things ended with Brian Kelly and how quickly things teetered off there last season. Things are already picking back up, and they were recruiting. They're recruiting like they always do. But you let that program get a taste of winning a national title, especially in like one of the earlier years of Lane Kiffin, because Lane Kiffin's not one of these older guys who's towards the end maybe of like his head coaching career. He's not a Kurt Signetti. I mean, you would expect that there's quite a long life still in Lane Kiffin as a head coach. Like, let it be one of these early years, and who knows how crazy. Like, they would just turn everything up, I would imagine. Like, all the NIL revenue, donations, like that fan base would be hungry for more.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of programs that I have on this list that have been big spenders, that have been contenders, that have been everything you want to see in a national championship program. They just haven't had the proof of concept quite there yet. I have Texas on this list for that very reason. Yeah, Texas won a Natty 20 years ago, but college football has changed so much. They've had so many coaching changes. If Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns were to win a national championship right now this year, everything that they've done the last 12 months would be justified. All the moves they made in the transfer portal, all the money that the boosters have given to that program, all the facilities that have been upgraded, it's all justified. And when it's justified, you have an opportunity to do it that much more. So I think if Texas wins, they're going to be one of these programs that absolutely benefits most from it.
Absolutely. I also have Miami on this list. They might be the one that would benefit the most from winning a national title, especially if it happened this year, because we've seen the momentum pick up and the rave around the Miami Hurricanes really pick up steam over the last year. And that came in a season in which they did not win a national title. They simply made the national title game. And yet They're recruiting at a very high rate under Mario Cristobal. There's tons of they become a hotbed for it's a major attraction now. Like going to Miami now is cool again for players. It's viewed as something that like it's an honor now again to go be a Miami Hurricane like it was 20 years ago. Like that's how I view this program right now. And again, they haven't even won a national title. So God forbid they go out there and win a national title this year. I think it would just turn everything up even more. I think the stove and everything, things just start heating up quicker for them in a good way. Not like Mario Cristobal seat, of course, but like everything, like Miami becomes even hotter than it was before.
No, I mean, yeah, that brand is one of the most untouchables at its untouchable in that you can't compare anything to it. So you're absolutely right. I have Notre Dame on this list too. Notre Dame competed in a national championship 2 years ago, or going on 2 years ago now, and that did the program a lot of favors. And I feel like maybe they're towards the bottom of this list because they have made it to a national championship, but they're also a program that has not been able to get over that hump. And I think that Marcus Freeman, that team, if you get to do it with CJ Carr this year and all those players that they have, it's going to benefit that team a lot.
It's so weird because Notre Dame feels like one of these teams where, I mean, for the longest time, they've remained in the conversation of being nationally relevant. They've remained in the contention of being a national title contender or being one of the most talked about teams. And yet they just haven't gotten to that point. They haven't won a national title. They just haven't gotten to that point of the program in the especially in the new era of college football. They came close 2 years ago. But I mean, they certainly would. I don't know what long term it does for them because I feel like Notre Dame fans, they think highly of their program already. They think that they think they are the top brand in college football.
Valid.
People idolize Notre Dame because they do have the deal with NBC. They're on their own channel. They do everything by themselves. They're independent. They're not binded to a contract. They view themselves as the golden standard of what you want as a college football program already. I don't know that they need any influence to.
All right, let me give you a different, because you're right. Notre Dame, you're right, probably does not benefit as much. How about this one? The USC Trojans.
I have them on my list.
That
for
is
sure.
a program that was at the epicenter of college football 20 years ago. Was one of the biggest dynasties you've seen. Had celebrities littering the sideline, like A-list Los Angeles Hollywood celebrities on the sidelines. And we said this yesterday or Tuesday. You look at the stands now, and they've got half of them blocked off because they can't fill it, and to make it not look like it's empty. If that program wins a national title, the buzz and the hype and all the things that come with that program are going to shoot up exponentially and ride that for a long time, I feel like. So USC might be one of the most programs that could benefit.
I'd put them in the same boat as Miami, but Miami, of course, is ahead of schedule, or it's further along the schedule than USC is right now. But in the sense of, if USC were to have a season like Miami did last year, where they get into the college football playoff, they make a lot of noise, all of a sudden there's a lot of attention around Lincoln Riley and the Trojans, then you're going to start seeing the fan base pick up a lot more. Because prior to Miami's success last season, I would say that like Miami fans obviously existed, but it didn't seem like they existed as much until they found success and they were able to believe that this was going to work, that Mario Cristobal as the head coach had the potential to lead them to what they've strived for the last 2 decades. I feel like USC's in a similar boat of things are going okay right now, but if things like turn into a new direction, if they start building up some momentum and they actually feel like they're nationally relevant again, then you're really going to start seeing USC fans pour into that place again, and who knows what they would be capable of.
All right, let me run another one by you, because I feel like this is a program that has certainly been on an upward trajectory in comparison to where they were 15 years ago, but still very far away from the goals that they ultimately have, in my opinion. The Tennessee Volunteers. I feel like Tennessee Volunteers want so badly for things to look like they did in the late 90s, early 2000s when Philip Fulmer era was at its peak. If you can win a national title in Knoxville in the next 3 years, that program and the buzz around. Now, there's plenty of buzz to go around. That stadium will always be sold out come Saturdays. They will always have a passionate fan base. That's not what I'm saying. But the belief and the jubilee that comes with it, if they are able to win a Natty, will heal a lot of hurt for a lot of Tennessee fans.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee, now I know that they won a national title in baseball just a couple of years ago, but when you want to talk about The basketball team has been to, I think it's 3 straight Elite Eights over the past few years. Still no national title, still no Final Four appearance. Tennessee makes the college football playoff 2 years ago, and then the very next year they don't make another appearance. It feels like they've been in the mix, and they feel like their fan base probably feels like they've been close so many times to achieving this ultimate goal of winning a national title in football. And they feel like if it were to finally happen for them, I can only imagine the reaction from that fan base because they pour in a lot of assets to that place. I think I saw a graphic today where Tennessee donates more money than almost anybody in the SEC other than I think just Texas. Like those fans are loyal. They continue to believe in that place despite maybe sometimes there being signs that they shouldn't, but they continue to pour in and give their time and money to that football program. So if they were to feel vindicated that we finally won a national title, they'd get the itch. They get a little addicted to that. They'd only want it to keep happening over and over, just like any college football fan base, but Tennessee fans especially. Now, Ole Miss is in this category simply for the fact of they would get to shoot up double birds to their former head coach. You know, Lane Kiffin doesn't want to say Ole Miss. He doesn't want to recognize them that. He'll say the place I was at last. So we'll say to the former head coach of the Ole Miss Rebels, because you told us that we weren't good enough. You said that you couldn't do this here. You went for a better job, yet here we are, national champs.
Ooh, that's a great angle to think. I didn't even think of it that way.
Oh, man.
It'd be so good for that program because it would make Lane Kiffin look stupid. Like, it's very adjacent to what we thought of Brian Kelly, where it was like, yeah, you're never going to win a title at Notre Dame. That program's, in the past. You need to go to LSU to win it. Obviously, LSU struggled mightily with Brian Kelly there. Marcus Freeman got them to a Natty within 3 years of him taking over as that job. If Ole Miss wins a Natty the next few years and Lane Kiffin does not,
yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, if they get one before Lane Kiffin,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, it'd be cinema all over again.
It would absolutely. The last team I have on this, and for the same reasons I talked about with Texas and these other programs, Texas Tech.
Oh, they're absolutely.
They've got
a
bottomless checkbook right now. They can throw money at whatever they want. If that program, which has not been a have in college football, it has not been up there with the Ohio States, with the Georgias, with the Tennessees of the world, if that program wins a national championship, be ready because they're going to start throwing money left and right.
I mean, and that's what I was going to say is we've talked about a couple of times on the show about how $100 million rosters have been mentioned. Like that's on the horizon potentially for this sport. And Texas Tech already spends money at a premium, especially in college football, but they do it in all their sports. But if let's say right now they have a $50 million roster, they go out there and win a national title with that $50 million roster. Well, then the next question is, how do we sustain the success? How do we continue and build upon this? How do we make it 2 in a row? Or how do we stay at the top of the sport? We just reached it. Well, we up our $50 million to $60 million. That's what we do. And then the next year we go to $60 million to $70 million. Or like, you see what I'm saying? Like this only would increase. It wouldn't just be like, well, we spent our money and we got a national title, so we're good now. No, that's not how this works at all. So Texas Tech certainly belongs on this list. That was my final team as well that I had. All right, let's play a game, Kirby.
More games?
Yeah, I feel
like this has been a game week for us, and honestly, I really am here for it.
I don't know how much you like this game, but
okay, never mind.
So I'm in the boss's chair. I'm not saying I'm the boss, but I'm the driver of the show at the moment.
Too. You're the boss.
So, like Brooks does, I'll give you the option of where we go next.
Oh, I don't know if I like this game.
There's a ton of mixed signals around the college football playoff or Kirby's top 5.
Let's get to the mixed signals.
That's the right answer.
I know. Thanks.
So, please, tell us about the mixed signals that are happening right now around the college football playoff.
All right, so look. There's no secret that the 2014 playoff is probably on the horizon for the sport of college football. I feel like it's been talked about ad nauseum on this show, online. People have been tweeting about it. Everyone has offered their opinions on the 2014 playoff. Now, I don't know if you agree with this sentiment, Jwill, but the way I felt about it was that the people on the ground, the fans, the people who enjoy watching college football, that tune in every Saturday no matter what, that love the sport dearly, are all against this. We're all against it. And even some people who are, in the media space, but not necessarily the prominent spaces like the ESPNs and the worlds, the powers that be, were all for this. The ADs wanted this. The head coaches wanted this. The TV executives wanted this. So it felt like we kind of had a push and pull going back and forth. And the last, 24 hours of tweets and reports and interviews have made me realize that maybe things aren't as black and white as they seem. So today, obviously, the ACC athletic director, as well as the Big 12, also came out and said that they are very much for this. Surprise, surprise. Like, getting the ACC and Big 12 seeming like they want the playoff expanded.
They're with this because the two bigger conferences are with this.
Yes.
That's what them saying that, oh, yes, we agree with this. That's just, yes, you're doing what you're supposed to do.
And
you're bending the knee to us.
And it also makes sense for them programs that are traditionally hovering more around the 15 to 25 spots in the top 15. I get it. So that made sense. Then Mario Cristobal comes out and says, I'm not for the 2014 playoff. Mario Cristobal, an ACC head coach who had a program that made the college football playoff by the skin of their teeth last year and the year before that, or left just on the outside, has come forward and said, hey, I don't need 24. We're good. We don't need any of that. And this was probably the biggest surprise for me. Ross Dellinger comes out with a tweet, I believe it was, who talks about how many ESPN executives are coming forward saying they don't want 24 teams, and if there's expansion, they don't want it to be more than 16. Now, I might be the only one who feels this way on this show, but my understanding and the way I viewed this was that ESPN was secretly the biggest driver of this expansion bus because obviously when you expand the college football playoff, that's all more games for them to broadcast. So the fact that ESPN, of all people, one of the more powerful entities in all of sports entertainment, is coming forward and saying, actually, keep it at 16. We don't even really want 24. We don't want any expansion, but if there is no more than 16, is a little bit surprising for me. And frankly, it's giving me mixed signals now.
Now, it does provide, it does make me feel a little better about the expanded college football playoff because for me, throughout all of this, it feels like there's been a big detachment from the college football fans and the college football decision makers, that being head coaches, that being commissioners of conferences, all that good stuff. It feels like there's been a big detachment of the fans clearly don't want this, but obviously it makes sense for a head coach to want playoff expansion. It makes sense for commissioners to want a playoff expansion. It makes sense for ESPN or any of these TV right companies to want further expansion for the playoffs. I mean, it's more revenue, it's more games. It's more meaningful games in their eyes because you're no longer going to the ReliaQuest Bowl, which doesn't mean anything. The ReliaQuest Bowl now is a first-round playoff game. Saw that argument today about how this is a good thing for the 2014 playoff of bowl games now mean something. Games that used to not mean anything would now mean something again. Not here to argue against that or argue for that, though. It does make me feel better that there are people in college football that do have a powerful voice like Mario Cristobal who are against this. And it seems like they are attached to the people that fund this thing ultimately, the supporters, the ultimate supporters of this sport. It makes me feel good that they kind of recognize the same things that fans do, and there is still some of that belief in this sport still.
Now, with all that said, and that it's great that there are maybe more people out there that are fighting the good fight, I do think 24 teams is going to eventually be what the future does. But, you know what this reminds me of? And I know that you're not a wrestling fan, so
I'm not.
But I'm sure you've seen this meme. So there's a wrestling match from 2009 in Survivor Series where it's John Cena, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H in the ring. Now, if you knew anything about this, Shawn Michaels and Triple H were teammates throughout all of their eras. Like, they had DX, they were a faction. They were one in, like, best buds.
Okay.
So the way I viewed this, the fight starts, it's a three-way match. It's a fatal three-way. And out of nowhere, Shawn Michaels super kicks Triple H. It's a shock. It's like, oh, my God, he's turning his back. The powerful faction that B is turning its back and splitting apart. That's what ESPN feels like it did today. Where ESPN looks at the ADs and all the coaches and everyone who's for this 2014 playoff, and we're all expecting ESPN to be right along with it, completely goes against it. So maybe there's hope. Maybe enough powerful people can speak up. Maybe people care enough about what the fans say that we don't get some egregious, bloated playoff. But I'm holding out hope, but it's dwindling.
Yeah, it does feel like they're just – I don't know. I mean, I guess it's great that they only want 16 teams supposedly, but everything else points to that's not the case. Everything points to they want more games in general. Like that's all they care about. More games, more playoff games to sell, more TV revenue. That's what we need. I mean, it seems like one of the bigger talking points every single weekend, or what markets or what brands like ESPN try and push out and make the biggest story of the weekend every single week in college football season is look at the ratings. Look at which games were watched the most. Look at how many people watched Georgia and Alabama play this weekend. Look at how many people watched Ohio State and Michigan. And I feel like it's a ploy more so. It's not completely a ploy, but what I feel like it's trying, because when they do that too, they'll say, this is the most watched the game ever between Ohio State and Michigan. More people watch this game than ever. And it's supposed to make you feel better, like, oh, wow, the sport's growing. More people are caring about this now. This is great for the sport. When, I mean, it's them flaunting like, yeah, look how many of you suckers we got to watch this today, or things like that. It's like more so flaunting, like make you seem like, yes, the sport is healthy. Yes, the sport is thriving. It's at its highest peak. It's better than it ever has been. Meanwhile, we're doing things you don't want us to do.
Oh, it's the equivalent of if you had a local restaurant that you absolutely love, you absolutely adored it. Not many people knew about it. It was a small place, but you loved it. And every day you go in and you know the owner and you know him personally. And you come back after a few weeks and it's a completely new building. It's still the same name, but the employees are different. It's all automated. And you're like, what happened to this restaurant? I don't know. And this is a soul of itself. The food tastes horrible, and everyone goes, hey, how dare you say that? This restaurant is more profitable than it's ever been. This is the best the restaurant's ever been. What are you talking about? This is great. That's what college football feels like right now. Yeah, it's getting inflated. Yeah, it's bringing in more dollars, but at what cost? So,
yes, focus on the fact that millions and millions of people watch the game on Saturday. Do not focus on the fact of we gave you an hour of commercial time in a 3-hour game. Don't focus on that. Don't worry about that. Just focus on the fact that people love the sport that you love. More people are loving the sport that you love. It's growing and it's building. That's what matters. That's all that matters. So, but, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it feels like we're just kind of spewing opinions on this when it ultimately doesn't matter because it's going to happen. Like,
yeah.
I can sit here and talk about how much I don't want the playoff field to expand, don't want it to expand past 14 or 16 teams. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter how much I care about it. It doesn't matter how many fans care about it and say they don't want it to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to go to 24 teams. And like we saw with this, like when we went from 4 to 12, again, it was at 4 teams for about a decade. And then it jumped up to 12. And people were not very happy with it going to 12. Like, people were like, how about 6 or 8? Maybe we start there. No, we're going to go to 12. Well, fans weren't happy with that. And it's taken 2 years now for 24 teams to be thrown on the doorstep and say, it's coming. Like, it's being delivered soon. It's going to happen. Just accept it. So what's to say that we get to 24 teams and it's like, wow, look at how many people are watching the college football playoff now. Look how great this is for all these teams, that more teams have a chance at winning a national title. They mean more. We have more meaningful games now in the playoff. How great is that? Well, how about we go to 32? Like, that's where I'm at. That's my biggest fear, is that enough will never be enough.
Oh, yeah.
64 teams in a March Madness bracket wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
So who's to say that 24 teams will be enough? That's my whole point.
You're preaching to the choir. Dude.
I know. All
right, let's stop complaining. Let's stop, yelling at the sun.
No, we're playing another game. Are you switching?
We'll play another game.
Okay. Would you like to talk about how this will be the worst week 1 in years?
Dude, we're supposed to be bringing positive energy to the show, man.
Or Kirby top 5? No, this will be positive.
Let's talk about this. This one caught my eye. So let's talk about how this.
That's
is
the right answer.
The
Good
worst.
job.
You just putting off top 5.
No,
we're doing it next.
That's where we're supposed to go next.
Don't worry, folks. We're gonna do the top 5 shortly. Don't worry about it.
This guy.
All right. Do you want to preview this segment or do you want me to do it?
Go ahead.
So, obviously, week 1 of the college football season is always one of the more exciting ones. College football is back. There's plenty of high-profile matchups. It's your first look at your favorite team. It's your first look at any team, per se, other than the ones that are playing in week 0. There's always an immense amount of hype built around week 1 of the college football season, and a lot of times many label it as this is one of the best week 1s we've had in a while. There's so many exciting matchups. Look at this. This time around, there's one major media company that thinks that this will be one of the worst week 1s that we've seen. The Athletic recently wrote an article today about how week 1 of the 2026 college football season will by far be one of the worst. And let me read a quote from this article. Let's not mince words. It's the worst opening weekend lineup in years. There are 3 games that might feature 2 ranked opponents, led by Clemson at LSU, which will host ESPN's College Game Day in Baton Rouge, and kickoff in prime time. But neither of those teams posted a winning conference record last season. There's a chance Boise State will be ranked heading into week 1 at a matchup with Oregon, and Louisville and Ole Miss will probably be ranked when the 2 meet. But none of those games are appointment viewing.
My first point about this. Who cares about week 1 rankings?
Thank you.
LSU Clemson was the biggest week 1 game last year, and neither of those teams finished ranked at the end of the year. So who cares about week 1 rankings? If you're basing the excitement of week 1 off of how many ranked matchups are there, I'm here to tell you that I don't think very many people care. But let's give last year for an example. I went back and looked at week 1. Now this includes Thursday games, Friday games, Saturday, all that good stuff. Of the marquee matchups for the weekend, Auburn and Baylor, which was on a Friday, Florida State versus Alabama, which that game really only turned up being a great game because Florida State upset Alabama. People kind of went into that one thinking Alabama's going to drag.
That game was not hyped up. I remember coming in and being like, Alabama by 30 or what?
Yep. LSU Clemson was a big game last year, very hyped up. Nebraska Cincinnati ended up being a good game. But my whole point here is, if you're going to sit here in the month of May and go ahead and dictate how great week 1 is going to be, you're doing it all wrong. First off, if you're going to tell college football fans or assume that college football fans aren't going to be excited for week 1 after they just spent the last 5 months in the desert seething at the mouth waiting for week 1 of college football to get here, you're crazy. You're out of your mind. This is what we wait for. We live for this. It could be a bunch of FBS versus FCS teams in week 1. Nobody would care. Everybody would watch it. It's college football. It's the return of college football. People are locked into week 0 when there's like one pretty good game every weekend, but nobody cares because it's college football. Nobody cares how many good games are on week 1. A bad week 1 does not exist. That's my entire opinion around this.
Ever. I mean, and even if there is a bad week 1 or one there, it's like, oh, there doesn't seem to be a lot of buzz, a lot of traction around these games. Wait till they're played. Let's make that judgment until the games. We might get past Saturday of week 1 and go, you know what? Not very exciting. A lot more could have happened. A lot of, just wash games. Whatever. That might be the case. I'm not making that judgment yet because I remember last year, this time, Texas versus Ohio State was a game that was billed as the biggest week 1 game ever. It's Lee Corso's retirement game. It's Arch versus Julian saying 2 5-stars. It's going to be massive. It's going to be incredible. Now, the game was close. The game was a 1-score game. I think we can all agree that it kind of fell flat. It wasn't exactly the spectacle that everyone wanted it to be. And you look back now, it's Ohio State, yeah, they were a really good team last year. Texas didn't win the SEC. Texas didn't make the college football playoff. That week 1 game lost a lot of its shine as the season went on, and not even because the regular season didn't matter, just because that game didn't end up being that exciting. So I'm not going to sit here in the middle of May and say, week 1, not very good this year, not a lot to be excited about. Come on, dude. That's ridiculous.
And like we always say around here, we say this in season all the time. In fact, it's usually a recurring segment. Don't sleep on the slate. Don't ever sleep on the slate, especially not week 1. Are you kidding me? We're going into a season with the only things that we know about these football teams are the predictions and the images that we've made in our mind about what these teams should be this season, how good they should be, how bad they should be, whatever. We have no idea how this season is going to play out. We have no idea how good a team is going to be or how bad a team is going to be. Week 1 is always full of surprises. There's no such thing as a bad week 1. And you certainly can't say it's one of the worst one in years. It's week 1 of college football.
Thank you, Jwill. I'm glad that you and I agree on this. And maybe the Athletic needs something to write about, but completely disagree with that sentiment.
Yeah, so see, it sounded negative, but ultimately it ended up being a positive segment, I would say. So please, guys, don't look down on week 1. We got great games lined up. It's week 1. We'll be very excited for week 1. That's great content for us. All right, Kirby, would you like to play a game?
Let's just do fan-base superlatives, man. I know.
Would you like to do Kirby's top 5 or fan-base superlatives?
Let's do fan-base superlatives because I know that you want to push off the top 5 as long as you can. And besides, that's something we typically end the show with anyways.
Oh, that was the wrong answer, but okay.
Come on, man. Fan-base superlatives. Pretty self-explanatory concept here. We give a superlative and we say the fan base that appropriately fits that. For example, the most loyal fan base in college football. Jwill, what would you say is your choice for that?
I ultimately went with, there's 2 teams that came to mind. The first one, the Auburn Tigers. I think the Auburn Tigers have a very, very loyal fan base.
Yeah.
And I understand, now this is from some personal experience as well. I understand that last year the Georgia-Auburn game fell on the day that Cam Newton's jersey was being retired, so I'm sure a lot of people are going to show up for that anyways. But that was a very middling and struggling Auburn team at the time, and yet those fans showed up like you would have no idea. And they've gone through a lot of struggles. They've gone through some years of maybe being close to winning a national title, but not quite. I mean, the last 5 years of that program has been just a hot mess, going from Gus Malzahn to Brian Harsin to Hugh Freeze, and now we have Alex Golesh. I mean, it's just been a turnstile over there. Those Auburn fans are loyal. The other fan base that I would put in this category, the South Carolina Gamecocks. Now, these fans are going through the ringer in totality, not even just when it comes to college football. These fans have just been through it with baseball, with men's basketball, you name it. They have just been up and down, a lot of down lately, though. Those fans, very, very loyal.
Definitely. I mean, I would say South Carolina probably gets the nod over Auburn in this regard, simply because I was an adolescent in the time where Auburn was probably at its peak. I very much remember the 2010 Cam Newton season. There were a lot of Auburn fans that aren't necessarily very boisterous about their fandom nowadays. The 2013 season seemed like Auburn fans were everywhere. Those people have kind of gone by the wayside. But the true Auburn fans, the loyal ones, the ones that have grown up Auburn fans, are there their whole lives, or are major fans, absolutely very loyal. I still give South Carolina the nod. My nomination, and this one feels a little weird because it's a program that's had lots of success in the last half decade. However, I have watched this program get dragged through the mud, be put through scandal after scandal, have numerous things come up, have some really down years, have some really, really good years, and no matter what happens, they go to bat for their own. The Michigan Wolverines are some of the most loyal fans out there. Through the Harbaugh scandal, through they paid Bryce Underwood millions, through the Sharon Moore antics. Most Michigan fans went to bat for anyone who had that yellow M on their chest. There's something to be said about it. It might not be as honorable, but you know what? They're loyal.
Michigan men unite.
Yeah,
they always do.
They do, man. They really do.
They defend their program to the final blow. There's some good mentions in the comments section. Tennessee and Nebraska fans, they are certainly loyal. I have
Nebraska,
Tennessee.
Yes.
Nebraska, certainly. I mean,
Nebraska, there's no other fan base that has just repeatedly been kicked in the nuts the last 25 years. And it's just like, we'll take some more.
I mean,
please.
imagine being a Nebraska fan that's our age, where you're not old enough. You're not old enough to know about, like, you didn't watch the national titles, you didn't watch the greatness of that program, but you're old enough to still be close enough to that success where you grew up and that's what your dad talked about, that's what your grandpa talked about, like that's what your buddies talked about. Of this is one of the best programs in the country. Like, we ran this thing for multiple years. Like, we were the team in college football. We can get back to that. It's just a matter of time. And for the last 26 of your years of your life, it hasn't ever been that. Yet you're still loyal. Yet you show up to every single game. Nebraska fans are super loyal.
They definitely deserve a shout out.
Now, Tennessee fans I have in a different category. In fact, I have them in this category, the most optimistic fan base. Now, we were corrected previously in one of our YouTube comment sections after the show of a Tennessee fan let us know that he feels like Tennessee fans are pretty realistic about this year's expectations.
Yeah, they have been quiet.
So they aren't, like, they're not going into this year with not knowing who their starting quarterback is going to be, with a brand new defensive coordinator, and thinking that they're going to go and win a national title this year or make the college football playoff. Like, they're pretty realistic. But Tennessee fans, for the most part, like, especially when you go back into the years of the division, like SEC divisions, Tennessee fans were very optimistic a lot of years about they were going to win the division. They were the best team in the SEC, and especially a couple of years ago when Heupel really got things going.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a slight to Tennessee fans. It did feel like every year someone was mentioning how it feels like 98. And that's not to poke jokes at them. That's just to show the amount of optimism that fan base had around their program coming in. Because, yeah, it ended up not being as successful as any of them hoped it would be. However, every year they came to bat, and every year they're more excited about it. So, yeah, I feel like they're a very optimistic one.
And it plays into their strength. It plays a strength in that fan base because it's part of the reason why Neyland Stadium always has one of the best environments in college football, because they do have one of the most optimistic fan bases. Every single weekend, it feels like it's a winnable game for them, and they're going to show up. So they play into the loyal. They're also very optimistic, and in a good way, I would say.
Now, my nomination for most optimistic honestly stems from what I've seen the last 3-4 years around this program and this fan base in particular. I feel like no matter what happens in the regular season, no matter which team beats them, Texas fans for the last 3 to 4 years have come to bat, have sat in front of microphones, and have had their own podcast and have put on Twitter. They've looked at the schedule, they've looked at other rosters, and they go, I don't know how Texas doesn't win the SEC this year. This is their conference. Texas is the SEC that runs through Austin. It hasn't worked out that way. However, they are more confident than ever, and that confidence seems to grow every year. Texas fans are extremely optimistic.
Oh, yeah, they certainly are. I mean, for the longest time, it was Texas is back. And the year after that, it was Texas is back. And the year after that, it was Texas is back. Now it seems like Texas is somewhat back, not to its full capacity, but they're certainly humming a lot better than they were a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates a lot of optimism.
They are very optimistic.
I mean, they came into the SEC at a time where they were starting to hit their peak. I mean, they were fresh off of a 14 playoff.
Correct.
They were starting to hit their peak and wasn't really sure how things were going in the SEC, to the fact of why wouldn't they feel like they could walk in there and potentially win the SEC and just take things over immediately? And then you add an Arch Manning into the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, none of this is a slight at any of these fan bases. I know that pointing out the fact that it necessarily hasn't worked to their fullest potential, I think that just speaks to how optimistic you are.
I would say I'm an optimist myself.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
There's nothing wrong with being an optimist.
Which program is the most hateful in your opinion?
I'll be honest. I didn't pick a team for this. I could not think of it, because this is the road I went down. Is I would think of a team. I feel like they're pretty hateful towards other people. Mm-hmm. Passionate is a good way to put this. Hateful means passionate in this sense.
Yeah, passion turns to hate in college football.
So I would think of a team, think of how passionate / hateful they are. But then I also think about how those fan bases really just band together anytime someone disrespects their team or says anything bad about their team. Like Ohio State, for example.
I'm glad you said that. That is my team. That's my nomination for this reason alone. I see more Ohio State beef with SEC teams than I see any other school out of the Big Ten. Now, this goes back to the Big Ten versus SEC alliance, but Ohio State doesn't really run in the same circles that a Alabama, that a Texas, that a Georgia is. Yeah, they'll play every now and then in the postseason, but Ohio State fans do not need to be chirping Georgia fans in week 4 or anything like that. I feel like Ohio State fans are some of the more venomous when it comes to their activity online. They will call out anyone. They will start beef with anyone. They do not care which school you play for, what conference you're in, how recently they've played you. They will send hate your way. And I admire that, honestly. Anyone can get it.
Now, this is a good mention from the chat of maybe it should be Alabama fans just because Harvey Updike poisoned a tree.
Oh, they get
they were so hateful that they couldn't bear watching Auburn fans celebrate a win that he had to go and kill a tree.
I'm sure that there is a statistical deep dive you can do to find out what percentage or how many violent crimes have been done as a result of college football beefs, and we'll find out who literally is the most hateful fan base. From my perception and online, it's Ohio State.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, most toxic online, I think there's one fan base at the moment that takes the cake.
I think you and me are thinking the same
They
thing.
have earned this title like outright. It is them and nobody else at this moment, and it is the Ole Miss Rebels.
Absolutely.
Their fan base right now, and maybe this is just because we're infiltrated in SEC territory, so that's kind of what our timeline feeds us. But Ole Miss fans, every single account, every single fan that I have come across of Ole Miss on Twitter, they take the cake for most toxic. Like, there is no boundaries for them. There are no rules to this game.
A lot of isms.
Yeah.
And no Lane Kiffin. There's some things going on in the Ole Miss Twitter that, you know what Ole Miss Twitter reminds me of right now? Did you ever have that person in high school, whether it was a guy or a girl, that got cheated on, did so wrong by their ex that they just became a horrendously toxic and petty person themselves?
Sure.
That's what Ole Miss fans are. What has been done to them is egregious and it's awful, but it has turned them into monsters.
Yeah, they are. They have banded together and they are strong. So if you're going to come after Ole Miss and their fans or their team, whatever, you better be prepared and you better come right, because they're going to let you have it, and you're going to be fighting off a swarm of Rebel fans, and you might drown, to be honest,
yes,
from what I've seen. Most aware. Now, I put this basically, which fan base would you say is the most aware of where their team is at? They always seem to have a good pulse of, we're going to be this year, and it's okay. That's what we expect. Now, the team I put here comes off of one interaction that I've had with this fan base, my only interaction with this fan base.
Are we about to have the same one for this
Probably
one too?
not. It was at the 2022 national title game.
I think we're about to have the same one.
Okay. And I had a few conversations with TCU fans that were at this game. And just kind of getting a feel for like, hey, how do you feel about the game this coming weekend? Like, what are your overall feelings? And they all pretty much just said the same thing of, we've had a great season. It's been a whole lot of fun. We do not expect to win on this weekend or on Monday. We do not expect to win the national title. We do not think we can beat Georgia. We are simply happy to be here. They were self-aware enough in a moment of they could win a national title. They were in a position where they could win a national title. Just upset Michigan.
Yeah, it was after, by the way, pulling off a massive upset in your own right. No one gave you a prayer against Michigan. You won that game. And you come in on Monday of like the national championship like, we're not going to win.
We overachieved, and they were aware of it. They were fully aware of the fact that they had overachieved. They necessarily maybe didn't belong to be there. They just wanted to be there. Like, when would be the next time that I can attend a national title game for the TCU Horned Frogs in football? I'm just happy to be here. So for that reason, for that interaction alone, I have TCU fans as the most aware.
Well, I'll tell you that they are still kind of that way. They're not we're just happy to be here. They love their team. They support their team. They actually have a lot of really funny memes going on about their program. I don't know if you've seen Hypnotoad, what that is.
I have no idea what that is.
Check it out. It's very good content that they make. But they are also a program that does not, try to punch up. They don't try to punch down. They just are happy to exist. And when they win, they make fun memes about it. When they lose, it's kind of like, you know what? It is what it is. So, TCU, my vote as well for most aware. I'm surprised that we both landed on the same.
Yeah,
that might be because of personal experiences.
Yeah, I mean, it is because of a personal experience. So, I just kind of wanted to shout out TCU fans. Good on you guys.
I think we might go 3 for 3 on these final categories.
I mean, most likely to bring up the past, based on how our upbringing was, who we've been surrounded by.
Yep.
There's only one team that fits into this category, and it's Alabama.
Yep.
Alabama fans, for an eternity, it felt like, had no issues reminding Georgia fans of 1980. 1980, that was the last time you won a national title. 1980, you can say you can compare yourselves to us all you want, but 1980. And then even when you win a national title, when you beat them in a national title game, they have no issue bringing up the fact of they housed you in an SEC championship game, that it really doesn't matter. When we were healthy, we beat you. We beat the brakes off of you.
Well, I'll say this. When you have a run of sheer and utter dominance,
how could you not
as
bring up
unprecedented?
the past?
Yeah, as unprecedented as you've like Alabama from 2009 to like 2020 is one of the biggest dynasties in college football. That name alone holds weight. When you hear Alabama, you don't think of the state. You think of Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide. That cannot be said for many other programs. Alabama was college football for that period of time. So, of course, when that era ends, like every great era ends, every dynasty comes to an end, you are going to live in the past a little bit as an Alabama fan. That's not to say, you guys are dumb or you guys deserve it, everything that bad happens to you. When the glory days are so obviously in a pocket of time, you are going to reminisce for those. I'm sure Patriots fans talk about the Tom Brady era most or reference the Tom Brady era most. I'm sure that Bulls fans talk about the 90s the most because that was the peak. You were the epicenter of your sport. It makes sense that you would live in the past. So this is not a slight to Alabama fans either because if Georgia had the run that Alabama had or any other program, that fan base would very much be living in the past as well.
It's only Alabama because they dominated the sport for as long as they did. So, again, no slight to Alabama fans. You have every right to remain in the past and talk about the past because why wouldn't you want to?
I mean, if I was an Alabama, this is obviously not true, but if I was an Alabama fan and I got the alert in 2023 of like Nick Saban announced his retirement from college football, I'll go, okay, well, that was fun, and just never watch another football game. It's never going to be that good again. I saw the end of it. But getting out while I can.
You get way too addicted to it to just turn it off like that.
For sure, definitely. But like, if there were ever a time to pull out and get your money's worth, it was right then, and you knew it.
Kirby, would you like to play a game?
Let's play a game, Jwill. I think I know the game.
Would you like Kirby's top 5?
Yes.
Or would you like to go to the local hour?
Dude, we got 8 minutes. Come on. Let's do Kirby's top 5.
I don't know. I'm hovering the mouse over here on the Talk That Dog intro.
So
you might control the cameras, but I have ultimate say of what happens here.
Come on, man.
And I promised the people earlier in the week.
I wrote on the board and everything.
All right. We finally got to the point of the show where we have to do Kirby's top 5.
Don't hate them top 5, guys. Look.
Let's see what this week's list is.
My recent top 5s have been very food adjacent, been movie adjacent, a lot of back and forth between those. So why not go to something else that's very big in pop culture? We've got now. Before I give you this topic,
I'm honestly scared to know what this is.
No. This is something this is easily my most subjective top 5 list. This is personally based on my own experiences, my own childhood, my own upbringing. So
you have to have a disclaimer now before your top 5s. This is my list. This is my opinions.
Well, I felt like that was kind of clear at the beginning, but people are like, oh, this guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So I have to give that disclaimer now.
There's always a wrong answer.
Anyway, we're going my top 5 favorite video games.
Oh, boy.
What?
All right.
Dude.
Look, there's this page that I follow, and it's these two guys that are on a podcast, and they talk about video games, and I read the comment sections all the time. Like, I'm a casual video gamer.
So am I. Don't worry.
Very casual video gamer. I probably already know what your number one answer is going to be, knowing who you are and knowing what you like. But the gaming community, if they dare find this, they will castrate you.
Look, this is a very casual, just grew up loving Xbox type of list.
This is a bold list to make.
Starting with number 5, we have Wii Sports.
All right.
Look, it's no one's favorite game ever, but I guarantee everyone who's watching is under the age of 60 or has had a TV has some fond memory playing Wii Sports, whether it be with friends, relatives, or family members. Even though those are the same things, you get the point. So, Wii Sports absolutely deserves a nod. I think everyone tried to go pro in bowling. Everyone tried to beat the final boss in boxing. We all know Wii Sports. It's a legendary game. It deserves to be on the top 5. Number 4, we have Call of Duty Black Ops 1. Look, Black Ops 2 is an amazing game. It deserves its nod. It's probably a more popular game.
It's my favorite.
But Black Ops 1 was where I got introduced to Call of Duty and was really allowed to start diving into the M-rated video games. Absolutely loved this game.
Yeah, I'm a Black Ops 2 guy, but as I've always said with Call of Duty, especially for that timeline, the earlier timeline of Call of Duty, I feel like your favorite in that point in time was really just like your first introduction to the game.
Yes.
Like whatever one kind of got you introduced to the Call of Duty series, that's probably going to end up being your favorite.
And I'm so glad you mentioned introductions to the game, even though it might not be the most popular, because it perfectly ties into this next one. GTA San Andreas. GTA 5 is an incredible game. I have more memories playing GTA San Andreas with my friends and just trying to see how many stars you could get and driving through that town and being so amazed at how this game was relatively old at the time I was playing it. Is still so fun. It's still so immersive, still so playable. GTA 5 absolutely gets a nod here, and I will definitely be playing GTA 6. However, I have much more fond memories playing GTA San Andreas. Number 2 on this list. And let's see if I surprise you with this one. It's NCAA 14.
Yes.
Look, there is something to be said about a game that carried a franchise for a decade.
Yeah.
I think people forget just how long you went without college football games. This was something that held it down for me for so long. And updated rosters and the community that was built because of this game. Perfect. This is a legendary game. It did so much for us. Shout out to the new football games coming out. I think we can all agree that there's still some soul in NCAA 14.
Oh, I would have no issue going back and playing NCAA 14 still to this day. I mean, one of the best life decisions I've ever made was holding on to my Xbox 360 so I could continue to play that game throughout my entire life still.
Yeah, it wasn't a perfect game. Like you were you were definitely going to be getting in offensive shootouts. The defensive AI wasn't great. Some of the blocking is a little shoddy. But, man, that game was beautiful. Now, before we get to our number one answer, like we always do, we have our honorable mentions. First honorable mention I have, COVID Warzone.
The first rendition of Warzone.
This is more of an era than anything because it's a constantly updating game. I don't know if you were my age, around the ages of 17 to 25 during the COVID lockdown era, but my God, there was nothing else to do except hop on and play Warzone with your friends.
Yeah.
As much of a time that I would not like to relive that, it's a very special time. I've really had some great memories, great laughs doing that.
For you older people, if you'd like to know how useless people our age were during this time of COVID Warzone, the schedule that we followed was you wake up at about 11 o'clock.
Yep.
You might eat some lunch/breakfast. Do whatever schoolwork you have to do for about an hour, whatever you got to do, take care of that. maybe go do something outside for a few hours.
Half-ass workout.
Something like that. But from about 8:30 until about 3 o'clock in the morning, it was playing Warzone. It was playing Call of Duty. That's all we did. And you repeat the same thing the very next day.
Yes, agreed. Thank you, Jwill. Honorable mention number 2, we have Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is a better one.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is also a very, very good game. Great story, way more immersive, but I'm giving shout-outs to the OGs here, I feel like. Red Dead Redemption is another underrated game, I feel like, in comparison to GTA getting all the love. Red Dead Redemption definitely gets a shout-out. My final honorable mention before number 1 is Batman Arkham Asylum.
The first video game I ever purchased on Xbox 360.
Dude, this game does not get enough love.
So good.
The combat in this is so advanced. The story is great. There's puzzles to solve. It's a very, very good game. If you haven't played any of the Batman games from like Arkham City or Gotham like that, highly recommend. Lots of fun, really good graphics. So now we get to the number 1. And I feel like if you know me, you kind of know what this one is.
It's going to be controversial. Go ahead and do it.
I've probably mentioned it a bunch of times. I know I've talked to you about it. My number 1 is Guitar Hero 3. There is no other game that I've played more hours in and still play hours in. I've spent hundreds of dollars buying guitars for this game and making sure I can still play it. It is by far one of my favorite video games of all time. I own every single Guitar Hero in the franchise. Number 1.
The only games that I probably would have had on there that you didn't is I would have either had Mario Kart 64 or Mario Kart Wii. Put a lot of time on those games. Probably would have had Halo Reach. Any of the Halo games are great, but I really grew up playing Halo Reach with my buddies, so really love Halo. Other than that, I can't really. Mario 64 was also really good.
Fun game, but also not one that you really come back to and love.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Mario 64 is one where it's like, all right, I've played this enough to know what to expect.
Yeah.
Guitar Hero, all these games, I feel like I could play them right now and be like, I'm back. I love this.
Fair. So, all right.
Was that a likable list I had?
So far, you're getting some love. There's not a whole lot of pushback here. So I think that we found your happy medium of just like we are casual gamers, I would say most college football fans probably considered casual gamers, and that's a great list.
Thank you, Jim.
I like all of those games.
I think that's the first universally liked and accepted list I've made on this show, so it's a monumental moment for me. Thank you, everyone.
A good bounce back from the bread pudding.
No, I'll die in the bread pudding.
I like bread pudding.
Bread pudding's
it's
amazing.
good. It's good. All right. That concludes today's National Hour. You might be getting a sneaky surprise in the Talk That Dog show. So hold on to that thought. We'll see you on the other side.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog?
What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
And we are back. Welcome into the local hour, the Talk That Dog hour. We've got a whole bunch of topics to talk over in this portion of the show, just like we did in the National Hour. We're going to be talking some of the most recent recruiting updates, had a recent commit, had another player choose to go elsewhere other than Georgia. What should we be most worried about, or what are we most worried about, specifically us, most worried about for the 2026 season? Kirby Smart revealed a very interesting story about how he ended up at Georgia. Not as cut and dry as you think it would be. We're going to continue our game of player, name that player, and name the play you think of. We're also going to do some blind rankings, apparently.
Yes, we are.
Okay, we have blind rankings lined up. And then we also have some questions from our lovely Discord community over there. So we're going to be doing that to close out the show. But we have some news that we have to address at the top of this hour. We're going to do it very briefly. Jamali Riddle, on May 8th, was arrested on 2 felony counts and a misdemeanor. He had possession of drug paraphernalia in his car. He was also speeding at a very high rate. Was pulled over for the speeding. Drugs were then found in the car. There was some marijuana found, and there were also some THC vapes. He was arrested, posted bail, is no longer. I don't know what the current status of any of this is, but I assume that he's no longer in jail, obviously. But So, yeah, that happened. Another Georgia player arrested. This one was in Glenn County, so there's no pointing fingers at Athens-Clarke County Police Department. None of that stuff. This was separate near his hometown. All I have to say about this is speeding in general is really dumb. I believe the police report said he was somewhere around 95 miles an hour. I think the police officer who was chasing him down said he was running at 95 miles an hour, and Jamarly Riddle was still gaining ground from him. So speeding in general, not a smart idea. Having drugs, a lot of drugs in the car, and weaving in and out of traffic, driving 95 plus miles an hour, really not a smart decision. So, unfortunate news. Don't know what this means for the future of Jamarly Riddle, but that's the current status of that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's not a lot to be said right now because, like you said, the info is fairly sparse. However, I think we can all come to the consensus that this was a rather stupid decision, not only for a breaking the law standpoint, but like you said, if we are going to have things in our car that will get us in trouble, why are we going to attract attention to us that will get us pulled over? Why are we going to drive at speeds that will force us to be pulled over? So really dumb decision, really unfortunate because that's a player who we've kind of gone back and forth on whether or not they'll play for you this year. Whether, they're hurt, they might not play. Well, we saw them in the spring game. They might actually end up playing, and now it's back up in the air again because you don't know what the punishment for this is going to be. So really unfortunate decision.
Yeah, I mean, an unfortunate hit to Georgia's transfer class, and now it's 2 hits that you've taken with this transfer portal class this year. Amarius Williams suffered an ACL injury, not expected to play this year, who was like the crown jewel of this transfer portal class, an edge rusher, a guy that can get to the passer, something that Georgia needed. He's not going to play this season. And then Jamarly Riddle, who I would say was the second most exciting player in Georgia's transfer portal class, a guy that balled out at East Carolina, looked like a really promising football player, was from the state of Georgia, going to help out the DB room. And now I don't know if he's going to play this year. I would just leave it at that right now. Don't know if he's going to be playing for the University of Georgia. So 2 rough hits to the transfer portal class already. Now, you still got Dante Dowdell. You still got Isaiah Canyon. You have other players in this class who could still make it a very strong transfer portal class, but not exactly off to a great start there. But we're not going to harp on that news too much more. Just had to address it. Something that we have to address as a show that does an hour dedicated to Georgia football. So moving on. Let's talk about some good news. Tamoris Campbell, a 3-star linebacker, announced his commitment to the University of Georgia. Was that yesterday? I believe it was yesterday, or was it Tuesday?
Yeah, the last 36 hours all bled together for me. So
I think it was yesterday, but he announced his commitment. Some positive momentum rolling into the program for Georgia on the recruiting trail. On Tuesday, we did a segment of, is it time to panic? What's going on with the recruiting class? We've lost 3 commits, one of them being a 5-star cornerback in Dante Wright. Mm-hmm. What's going on? Doesn't seem like you got a whole lot of steam going into the summertime. And then you get this guy, you get Tamoris Campbell. And while, no, it's not a 5-star prospect, it's not a 4-star prospect, what we can tell you, and we're actually going to save to watch the film towards the back half of the show because Brooks might make an appearance. He might be here.
Oh, you just ruined the surprise.
They had to stay for the local hour to get the surprise, and it may or may not happen. We'll see. Maybe
Fair.
I'm just telling a little lie. But Tamoris Campbell, a prospect that it seems like Georgia really likes. It seems like there's a whole lot of room to grow, and he's only going to get better with age, and he's only going to get better by the time he gets into a college weight room. Like once he gets into the strength and conditioning room at Georgia, things are really going to get better. And his ceiling, it's a high ceiling take, I would say, with already like a pretty good floor on him as well. It's not to say that this is kind of a stab in the dark. We're hoping it hits. They're very high on Tamoris Campbell out of Florida, so good pickup for Georgia there. Now, unfortunately, with the good news, there also came some somewhat bad news today as Peter Bork announced his commitment to Virginia Tech. This was a prospect where yesterday, if you asked anybody, I would say that they probably told you he was going to Georgia, and then you wake up this morning, Virginia Tech is now the leader. They closed the window there. He is now going to be a Hokie. Now, the simple thing to do, and what most people are probably doing is, well, obviously he went to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech upped the offer. He got more money. They're offering double or triple or whatever it was compared to what Georgia was. That's the easy way to take it. But I would remind a lot of people that this is a kid from Massachusetts, and Penn State has been in the mix for a long time. In fact, they were still kind of in the mix up until his commitment today. And James Franklin was the head coach at Penn State. they've had a relationship for quite a while, and now he's over at Virginia Tech, James Franklin that is, and now Peter Bork is going to go over to Virginia Tech. Like, those two have built a long-lasting relationship over the years. They're very familiar with one another. So, yes, maybe money played a role in this, but I would also just give the props to James Franklin and Virginia Tech for continuing to build out that relationship and continue to keep tabs on Peter Bork and not give up on that one, because if this were a Georgia situation where Georgia landed a kid that they had been recruiting since the 8th grade, we would tip the cap and say, hey, good on Kirby Smart and them for getting in early on this kid and continue to build on that relationship and really playing this one out, and it ultimately ended up being in their favor. Like, tip your cap to James Franklin and Virginia Tech for being able to pull that one out, especially they're down at the end of the wire. But
I'm glad. Can we change something about how we talk about college football recruiting?
Sure.
I am so tired of a recruitment going down to the wire, of it being between two programs, of it being a high-profile recruit that people aren't necessarily sure about. It gets down to signing day, and player commits to whether it be school A or school B. And if he commits to school A immediately talks around about how, man, our coach just put school B in a locker. Our coach just did this. It happens on national pundits. They talk about, man, boy, they just shoved this coach in a locker. They out-recruited the hell out of him. This did not happen. I've seen 3 separate posts today from Virginia Tech accounts, from Miami accounts, and from a national covering account that Kirby Smart is getting put in lockers by James Franklin already. That is not at all what happened. When you get put in a locker, you get absolutely out-recruited. You get absolutely diminished. You don't stand a chance. It is over from day one. Up until probably about, 12 hours ago today, we didn't know where this kid was going. So can we change the language around, oh, so-and-so got put in a locker? It's the equivalent of kicking a game-winning field goal against a team and then boasting to the fan base about how you kicked their ass. That's not really what happened. You won, and you deserve to celebrate, and that's fine, but let's not have a factual inaccuracy because we're saying you got put in a locker here. It was a very close recruitment. Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to really get a gauge on recruiting and what overall is like the takeover in a recruitment, like what actually wins over a kid. Now, sometimes it seems like it's pretty cut and dry of money played a role or this played a role or whatever, and other times I would say that a good coaching job or a good recruiting job by a coach gets overshadowed by the fact of now these players can get paid. So now all anybody wants to talk about it and say is, well, he just took the biggest bag. That's as simple as that. He just wanted more money. He doesn't care about anything else. He just wants more money. I think you can kind of chop it up to both of them in Peter Bork's circumstance. He got some more money to go to Virginia Tech, but also the Virginia Tech staff did a really good job on recruiting him, and it paid off for them. I mean,
definitely.
They played both sides of it. So, some good news, some bad news, however you want to take it. Still a long road ahead in the recruiting trail. In fact, Georgia's got a massive weekend coming up on the recruiting up front. I believe this is the weekend of the scavenger hunt. A lot of high-name prospects. If you want those names, go over on to patreon.com/Brooks Austin.
Patreon, good job.
And you can find out the names that will be on campus for the annual Kirby Smart scavenger hunt where all the players and recruits come on campus and then they have to find Kirby Smart. That's the scavenger hunt. So big recruiting weekend for them going on. Maybe some things come out of that. So we'll see where things go. But again, nothing to panic about. I know there's a lot of jokes going around about how Georgia's only taken 3 stars. Georgia's 3-star U now. The class is full of 3 stars, all that good stuff. There's a long way to go, and those 3 stars who are 3 stars now, you have no idea what they're going to be ranked by the end of this cycle. So, and remember, let's point this out too. Donnie Glover was a 3-star. Zakai Helton was a 3-star. Donnie Glover started for Georgia last year on the offensive line. Zakai Helton going to play for Georgia on the offensive line this season. Tyreek Green was, I believe, early on in his recruitment, at like one of the first time when he first committed to Georgia, he wasn't some 5-star prospect or top 100 player at the time. I don't believe. Like that was one that was kind of like, all right, taking a local in-state kid, gonna play for Georgia this year. So I know we talk about it all the time with how don't pay attention to the rankings. Rankings don't matter. Georgia doesn't care about rankings, but just because the kid is a 3-star doesn't mean a hill of beans to Georgia. If he's good enough to play, he's going to play. And they have a high hit rate so far.
You guys love reminding everyone that Lab McConkey was a 3-star, Stetson Bennett was a walk-on.
A.D. Mitchell was a 3-star.
So don't look at this and be like, oh, we're only getting 3 stars now. Georgia sees something in this kid that they very much like. So be excited for it.
Trust the process. Trust all that good stuff. All right. Well, since we covered some good and bad news, let's just talk about what we're most worried about this season. Let's just go ahead and continue on that.
Do you want to throw a blind ranking in there real quick?
Yes, I forgot about blind rankings.
We'll hit a quick little blind ranking. All right. I have 3 categories for you, Jwill, and I want you to pick from one of them.
All right.
First one I have is plays from the 2012 and 2013 season.
Oh, gosh.
Narrowed it down for you. Yeah, you made Tuesday really tough for me, so I'm making it tough for you.
First off, that's also me relying on my ability to recall plays from that season.
Don't worry.
One.
These are notable plays. I didn't do like 3rd and 7. What does Matthew or Aaron Murray? What does Aaron Murray do?
You're not going to
here?
Tiger Woods and be like, on the 9th hole, what shots did you take? Or like 10 years ago.
This is like these are plays that if you're a Georgia fan, you should remember.
Okay, what are the other categories?
Those, players to wear number 7, or game day environments. Now these are all games that I know you attended.
Okay. Let's go game day environments.
All right, we're going to blind rank these 5 game day environments, starting out with the 2019 Georgia versus Notre Dame game.
All right. So, not to spoil anything, but there's only one other game that I have attended where I would put that environment ahead of the Georgia-Notre Dame game. So, for that reason, I'm going to stick Georgia-Notre Dame 2019 at number 2.
All right, so that
was the introduction of the red LED lights, lighting up Sanford Stadium, a night game. It was one of my first games that I attended as a college-age person at the University of Georgia. It was a really fun time. Great environment.
All righty. Moving on, we have 2022 Tennessee.
This is the one. This is the one that I hold in higher standard compared to 2019 Georgia Notre Dame. This is number 1 for me. It is the craziest, most ruckus environment I have ever seen before. I can remember looking. So I'm in the student section, kind of further back, so kind of towards the top of the student section. And to my right are Tennessee fans. There was quite a few Tennessee fans that showed up to that game. I can just remember looking at the faces of the Tennessee fans, witnessing what Georgia fans were doing in the middle of this game, of the noise that they were making, the constant noise, the performance that Georgia was putting on. It was one of the craziest environment, I should say, that I have ever been to.
I think there's a really great picture of like an older Tennessee fan covering his ears while everyone's screaming.
Oh, it was that, man.
It was a fantastic environment. And then the rain starts, and instead of people mailing it in, it gets louder.
Oh, it just got even better.
It was a magical environment. For what, by the way, a game that wasn't really that great.
Yeah,
Georgia
in hindsight.
owned that game from the second drive on. Mm-hmm. Like after the fumble and forcing a field goal, that was Georgia's game.
There was so much tension that built up that week because Tennessee got ranked number 1 in the college football playoff polls, and then Georgia was ranked number 1 in the AP poll. So it was number 1 versus number 1. Tennessee fans think like this is their year. They're going to walk into Athens and beat Georgia, and Georgia just steamrolls them. Like that tension just was released over the next 4 quarters. The series where Javon Bullard has like 3 sacks in a row.
Yes.
I can still remember the utter amount of noise that was created during that time.
I think it got loudest for me when, was it Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins recovers that fumble?
Yes.
When the pop was like, oh, they're about to blow it open. Now, unfortunately, Branson Robinson fumbles, I think, the very next play. But for that brief moment, it was like, dude, this place is rocking. All right, the number 3 game that you have to rank, the 2024 Tennessee Tech game.
It's number 5.
It's number 5. All right.
It's number 5. Oh, you're going to do some silly crap where you give me 2 of those cupcake games, aren't you?
Hey, man. Don't shoot the list maker, man. You're blind ranking here.
All right. Well, it's number 5.
The number 4 game that you have to rank is the 2025 Texas game.
Okay. Let me think about this. Was there another game that I attended that had a better environment that hasn't been named yet than Texas this past season? I really got to dig deep and try and remember all the games that I've been to now. I'm going to put this one at number 3, I think.
Okay.
I'm going to put it at number 3.
So you have number 1, the 2022 Tennessee game, the number 2, 2019 Notre Dame, number 3, 2025 Texas, and number 5, 2024 Tennessee Tech. Mm-hmm. Your 4th best environment on your list. Congratulations, Jwill. It is the 2016 G-Day game.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
That is a very good. And
that is dream scenario right there.
And honestly, I feel like I was setting you up for failure there. You did a perfect job with this.
Man, that was fantastic. Yes, I was there for the 2016 G-Day game, and it was great.
It was a great environment.
Fantastic.
For a spring game. My God, I certainly better than a Tennessee Tech game at noon.
It was hot as crap, but I enjoyed it.
Both games were hot.
Sat in the nosebleeds. I enjoyed it.
I will say the Ludacris performance. A little bit disappointing.
Dude.
Hearing Ludacris was coming to town and then sitting in the West End Zone and being like, "Ah, damn, he's all the way over there."
It was so bad that Kirby Smart, in an interview that I watched today, completely forgot that Ludacris performed at his first G-Day game. Like, when it was mentioned in the interview, he was like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot about that." Like, had no recollection of Ludacris being there.
Here's the thing, though. That doesn't surprise me at all. Kirby Smart, from everything I've seen, is that when he touches the field at Sanford Stadium, the only thing that is important, unless he is there for a concert, the only thing that's important is his team. It would not shock me if Ludacris completely went out of his mind.
Yeah, it's fair. All right.
Shall we talk about our worries for the season?
Yes. This is a therapy session, essentially. Just go ahead and dump whatever worries you got coming into this season. Just go ahead and let it out.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to express my first?
No, go ahead. You're the one that brought this to the table. I'm concerned about your mental health right now. Why are you so worried, Christian?
Let's get this one out of the way because this is something everyone worries about at every part of the season. Every fan goes through this. It's not ordinary to Georgia. It is every fan's worry. Injuries. There are at one wrong step, one funny movement, and you've lost a starter for the year. It could happen to anyone. It could happen at any time. That is always in the back of a fan's mind. I think that is legitimate to say that it's at the top of both of our list.
My biggest worry about this season, I would say, is...
Excuse me. It's not my biggest worry. It's just what I have first. Sorry.
Right. But I would say what I'm worried about most going into the season is the players that Georgia put all of their eggs in their basket into of taking another jump and banking on developing of these players doesn't exactly pan out like they thought it would.
Okay.
For example, this plays into the wide receiver room. Like, that is littered with players that Georgia is banking on the development of those players, of Talon Taylor, of Thomas Blackshear, C.J. Wiley, all those guys, Tyler Williams, even Sokovia White-Helton to an extent, banking on development there, banking on the development of the edge room, the pass rushers, guys like Darren Ikenagbon, guys like Isaiah Gibson, Chase Linton, the likes of those players, like that happening, where it was very clear Georgia's message this offseason was we are banking on the fact of retention. We are banking on retention. We want to maintain the players that are on our roster now, and we're going to hope and pray. I shouldn't say hope and pray. We're going to put our trust in the fact of what we do here, and when you are instilled into Georgia for multiple seasons, that's when you're going to reach your max capacity as a player if it just doesn't click and pan out like they think it will.
Yeah, I certainly think that's a fair worry. Another worry I have is you keep playing with more and more fire. And the way I look at it this way is 2022, went back and watched that game. I thought about it. I was like, man, other than Missouri and a very good Ohio State team, you didn't sweat a whole lot.
No.
2023, you got out of an Auburn game that was kind of a sweater, had some more sweaters down the road. But other than that, nothing too bad. And then you see it. As time goes on, there's just more and more close finishes, more and more, man, we got lucky to pull that one out. And you look back at the season last year, you could have lost to Ole Miss. You could have lost to Tennessee. You very well could have lost to a handful of other teams. So looking at it and you're just going, man, they've played with fire, and it seems like the fires get bigger and bigger and bigger every year. At some point, they're going to become too much to extinguish. That's something that worries me this year because maybe you aren't able to come back from a 10-point deficit in the second half. Maybe you can't find a way to go perfect in a game and win. Maybe you don't get that 4th and 6 conversion this year. Maybe you don't have your opponent miss a field goal. So the more fire you play with, the more likely you are to get burned, and I don't feel like Georgia's gotten really burned yet.
The cardiac dogs. That's what they've been. I mean, that is the definition of what Georgia has been.
At some point, you're going to have a heart attack.
Yeah, it certainly probably revealed some potential issues for some people because every single weekend, every game you go into, It feels like you're about to be locked in for 4 quarters. And maybe that's just the new world of college football. And if that's the case, we're probably deteriorating the lifespan of ourselves as we speak. Every passing college football. Yeah, with pride, might I say. I will willingly do this. I'll do it with a smile on my face. I wouldn't want it any other way. But boy, it does make you really grateful and kind of think back of, man, maybe I took that for granted of just how dominant Georgia was for 3 years really over the 2021, 2022, 2023 seasons. There was a lot of games you walked into knowing, all right, we're going to win this by 20 points, and that's that. We just know that for fact.
To the point where if you were trailing after the first quarter, like, what the hell is happening?
Oh, God forbid it was a one-score game.
Dude, I remember the 2023 South Carolina game where Spencer Rattler goes electric in the first quarter, and Georgia's down, I think it was 13 points. Like, it wasn't crazy. And everyone in the stands is looking around and going, like, what? We fire everyone. Bench Carson.
Get him out of here.
Get Mike Bobo out. Like, that's where it started. And I think it's to a degree only gotten more apparent now.
For sure. All right, do you want to do blind rankings again, or do you want to do...
Oh, I have a few more worries, Joe.
Oh, well, I thought it was just name your one big worry. I have my one big worry.
Oh. Well, we can do that.
You said, what are you worried about most?
Well, I don't want to be the sky is falling type guy here. I've got like 4 or 5.
No, as a residential Auburn fan, you need to be that. Tell us what the Georgia Bulldogs need to be worried about, Auburn Kirby.
Come on, man. While Brooks is in
Present.
You and I are supposed to be friends. Another worry I have about Georgia this season is, what if this transfer class doesn't pay off? And judging by the news that we got today and what's happened to Amaris Williams, like, there's a real reality where a lot of the key players and guys that you were excited about this season don't necessarily pay off for you. Like, think about this, Jwill. What would Georgia's season look like last year if Zachariah Branch was half the player he was?
I mean, you probably lose a few of those games,
right?
That were really close.
And that's what worries me is, like, what if you don't? And I'm not saying everyone has to have a Zachariah Branch levels of impact, but what if this transfer class just doesn't pay off like last year's did? Like, even as much as, people say Noah Thomas was a disappointment, he was a massive death piece for you when Colby Young went down. Zion Branch, a guy who, again, wasn't a otherworldly star for you, was a massive performance. Had a massive few plays for you when other players went down. So what if your transfer class does not have that? And the major thing that I'm most worried about, now it's not necessarily explosiveness, offensive lulls.
Yeah.
What are we going to have that third quarter slump where for the first 6 drives of the game, Georgia's having 6-7 play drives, they're scoring points, they're at least getting field goals, and then the next 3 drives it's, hey, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. That can't happen this year. I'm not even as much worried about explosivity. The offensive lulls is what's worrying me most. So those are the worries that I have.
Yeah, I mean, can't have a game like you did against Georgia Tech last year. You don't want to see that, where it seemed like Georgia was peaking at the right time. The offense was really going at a great rate at that point in the season. And then you get into the Georgia Tech game, and it seemed like things were falling apart. Georgia's offense had gotten out of rhythm. And then you had an SEC championship game the very next week. So definitely would like to avoid those for sure.
All right. Let's do another blind ranking, shall we?
Let's do it.
You have plays from 2012 to 2013 or players to wear number 7. Which would you like?
Players to wear number 7.
All right. The first player we have on this list to wear the prestigious number 7 for the Georgia Bulldogs is DeAndre Swift. Where would you like to rank him?
I'm banking on another player being here, the obvious one to wear number 7, banking on him being on this list. So for that reason, well, let me think about this. No, yeah. DeAndre Swift, number 2.
DeAndre Swift at number 2, I think that's a pretty fair assessment of it. It's fantastic running back for the Georgia Bulldogs. Really the last great 3-year running back that you've had since Nate Frazier. Nate Frazier's going to be the one to kind of break this trend, but for a while from the 20s on, it was kind of you got to wait 2 years to even see the field a lot before you become a full-time starter, or sometimes you got to stay 4 years. Like DeAndre Swift, from the minute he stepped foot, was like, yep, he's gone after 3.
And then you get Keemon Spell, hopefully.
We'll see. All right, number 2 on this list that you have to rank, Blake Sailors.
Great call.
Special teams demon.
Sure was. Is there anybody, I don't mean this disrespectfully, is there anybody worse than Blake Sailors that is on this list? I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean,
Look,
is this an automatic lock at 5?
Blake Sailors had a role. There's no denying that. He played that role damn well. Enough that 10 years, 15 years after he played,
I still remember
2 guys remember him.
I remember him very vividly.
Certainly a great player, but I think that there's a pedigree here.
Yeah, I'm going to put him at 5.
All right, Blake Sailors at 5. You have DeAndre Swift at 2, and you have Blake Sailors at 5. The number 3 player you are ranking is Quay Walker.
Quay Walker. Yeah, that's got to be a number 3 for me. Quay Walker, number 3. Can't put him at number 1 because there better be a certain someone on this list that wore number 7, or else I'm going to look really stupid.
All right. Your number 4 player, you have spots 1 and 4 open right now.
Mm-hmm.
Your number 4 player that you will be ranking is Matthew Stafford.
Number 1. He's
Matthew
number 1.
Stafford.
Thank goodness. I'm not concerned anymore. I was really praying and hoping that I left that number 1 spot open for the right reason.
Look, I couldn't do that to you. That would have been very sneaky of me to.
I didn't think you were going to. I was like, there's no way. Like, I'm trying to think of like players that wore number 7. He couldn't do this to me. Then I was like, well, Lawson Lucky hasn't been named, and Lorenzo Carter hasn't been named. I might be in trouble. But I'm not in trouble anymore. I don't think I am.
I was trying to be nice to you. All right, so you've got Matthew Stafford at 1, DeAndre Swift at 2, Quay Walker at 3, Blake Sailors at 5. The number 4 ranked player you have to ever wear number 7 at the University of Georgia is Jermaine Burton.
Blake Sailors, I owe you a massive apology. You, sir, Blake Sailors, are a damn good dog. Jermaine Burton is not. In fact, him even grouping Jermaine Burton in that list of damn good dogs.
Whoa. This was not damn good. This was not damn good dogs. I did not say damn.
No. But you decided to give me a whole bunch of really good football players for Georgia, guys that just poured it out for the Bulldogs for multiple seasons, and then you want to throw Jermaine Burton in my face.
Hey, look, I'll say this. There's only one player on that list who scored a playoff touchdown.
You just kicked a hornet's nest. I want you to know, when I bring back Keep 3, Cut 5,
I'm sorry.
It's going to be hell. It's going to be hell. Disrespectful.
Look,
Make me look silly like that?
I might have crossed the line, but this will stay between you and me. I'll never publicly say it.
Between you and me, we're live on YouTube.
Oh, yeah,
we almost have 100,000 subscribers.
All right, between you and me and the 96,000.
This is as between me and you as Diana Rossini's and Mike Vrabel's affair was between them.
Hey, listen, that lasted 6 years. Now, you watch your mouth. This is going to go a good 6 years before anyone even goes, hey, that's the guy who thinks Jermaine Burton's a better Georgia Bulldog than Blake Sailors. We're fine, dude. We're fine. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you.
It's fine. All right. Do you want to do Discord Q&A?
Oh, dude, we have Discord Q&A.
We do have Discord Q&A.
I forgot about that.
Or would you rather do some player play memory game?
Let's do player play memories. I feel like you and me have some tensions arising right now. Let's just meet in the middle and have a nice moment of recalling players and the plays that have shaped our Georgia fandom minds. All right, here. We'll start off with a good one, too. When I say the name Jake Fromm, what play do you think of?
Ooh. Really, the first thing I think of Jake Fromm is him whistling Rocky Top after he beat Tennessee.
Oh, yes.
The Jake Fromm play that I remember the most, I would say, is either his pass to Terry Godwin against Notre Dame in 2017 or the flea flicker against Mississippi State.
The flea flicker is definitely my first one that comes to mind. There is also a play in the Rose Bowl. It's in Georgia's final drive where they march down to tie the game at 48, where I think it's on a 3rd down. It might be on a 4th down. Oklahoma has a completely free defense. Like, Jake Fromm is dead to rights, and he sidesteps him, and I think completes a pass to either DeAndre Swift or Terry Godwin or something. One of those guys completes a 1st down. That was the first time where I was like, oh, Jake Fromm might be more than a game manager. So those are the 2 plays that I think of when I hear the name Jake Fromm. All right, we'll do 2 more. What play do you think of when I tell you the name Roquan Smith?
Oh, it's the Oklahoma game. it's him stonewalling the receiver on the end around
Yep.
just short of the first down marker.
Yep.
That's the play that I think of every time.
Absolutely. The other one is obviously smoking who was the Mississippi State running back?
The running back or the quarterback?
Quarterback.
Nick Fitzgerald.
Nick Fitzgerald smoking him on the A-gap blitz. The kind of weird one that always sticks in my mind that I don't think people ever really remember, and why would you in this game? It's the Georgia-Auburn game in 2017, the regular season where Auburn beats our ass. He has a play where he runs stride for stride with, I can't remember if it's a wide receiver, and deflects a pass in the back of the end zone. And at the time, I was like, I've never seen a Mike linebacker run with a wide receiver in pass coverage like this. Like, they're always dropping in hook zones. This guy turned and run with a guy and deflected the pass. Insane. So Roquan Smith definitely had a handful of plays to go back to.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do kind of a out of the ordinary one here.
Oh, boy.
Get some real ball nods coming back. Here's a good one. What play do you think of when I tell you the name James Cook?
It's either him breaking open the run against Alabama in the national title game,
Right.
or it's the touchdown pass he gets from Stetson Bennett against Tennessee in 2021.
I always think of the Michigan Orange Bowl touchdown where
That's a good one,
Stetson
too.
Bennett throws just the highest rainbow ball you've ever seen. And James, he's getting his feet wrapped up when he throws it, and James Cook is just wide open. I think James Cook had 3 touchdowns that night.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll be the first to admit I didn't watch that game fully. It was my first New Year's in Athens, and I was fighting demons.
No, don't have to say anything else.
Just gonna put it that way.
Yeah, don't have to say anything else.
Woke up at 4 a.m. to Happy New Year's text. Family was kind of mad at me. I didn't say it back. I was like, guys, listen, I was dealing with something, all right? So, great game, James Cook. But other than that. However, the secret one that I always think of, and tell me if you remember this, this is James Cook number 6 era.
Okay.
It's the 2018 season opener, I believe. Georgia's beating the hell out of whoever they're playing. I think it's like Murray State or whatever. James Cook is on punt coverage, and it's at the point of the game where the crowd is mostly dispersed. Everyone's gone downtown, so it's quieter. You can hear more on-field action. James Cook is running down the field. The punt returner calls for a fair catch, and you can hear someone hot mic go, hit that N-word. James Cook proceeds to destroy this punt returner and get a targeting penalty and thrown out of the game. That was like the first, and I remember watching this and being like, oh, wait, that was Dalvin's brother. Whoa. If anyone can go find that play, please, because it's hilarious.
I have never seen this.
Really?
I've never seen
Really?
this.
It's a hilarious hot mic moment. I'll show it to you after the show.
I really want to see that because the idea of, one, it being a cupcake team, so like a team that you know you're going to beat, and it being so far into the game that a true freshman like James Cook is now in the game, and he has no remorse for playing time, so it's, well, let's just go get a target and call it absolutely decleat this poor Murray State player, whoever it was. That's incredible. I have not seen that, but I do want to see it. All right. We have now reached the portion of the show where we're going to start answering questions from our lovely Discord community. We asked them to impose their most important questions, and so I'm going to go over there and read off the first one from 9mil Norm. Will the new Super League have rules about time of eligibility? Will high-end QBs try to stay longer, thus creating a problem with the NFL? Well, to answer your first question, I don't think we're going to need a Super League for there to be rules about time of eligibility. I think they're already working on that. We've talked about it 5 for 5. It sounds like that's the direction that college football is heading in at this moment. So I don't think it's going to take a Super League for that to get solved. For the high-end quarterbacks, I wouldn't say that your highest of quarterbacks are going to be staying a lot longer in college football, but your fringe guys, like guys who might be the back end of the first round, like they could either go be the 24th overall pick this year, or they could go and make $6 or $7 million in college football this next year as a starting quarterback and make more money than that on top of it. Going back to college football for another year and maybe increasing your draft stock value probably isn't a bad idea. So I think it just kind of depends. Like Arch Manning, probably not going to be one of these guys. That guy's going to go to the NFL draft because he's ready, and also because like that guy's going to be a lock for a top 10 pick more than likely by the end of the season. Michael Wan asks, if you got to have lunch with one guy on defense and one guy on offense and one coach that are all currently at Georgia, who would they be?
Now, this is a very important question. There's a very important caveat to this question. Am I paying? Because if so, I'm not choosing any linemen, not choosing any defensive linemen,
It's
and probably, you know what? I'm not going to single out coaches in that. But
You know what? Let's do it this way. Let's phrase it if you get to go to lunch with them and you get to go to Bones. You get to,
okay.
So you get to, like, that's where you have lunch, meals taken care of, nobody's paying. You just get to kind of pick what you want, and you have lunch with this player. So take money out of the question.
Offensively, I'm going to say Nate Frazier. Nate Frazier
he has a great personality.
A bundle of joy that anytime he's on a screen or anytime he has an interview, he just has an infectious personality. I would love to sit down and have a meal with him. Defensively is a more interesting question. KJ Bolden is certainly a good candidate for that role. You know, Justin Williams.
Justin Williams is a good one.
I've interviewed Justin Williams 3 times, I think, and he always has a very, like, a smile on his face, doing eye contact, like, very well put together young man. I would love to sit down and talk with him. And then what was the third one? Coach?
A coach.
I'm going to just say Coach Smart doesn't count because that's the obvious one.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'd like to chop it up with Coach Todd Hartley.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? No.
Solid one.
I need to hear some college stories from Mike Bobo.
Oh, boy.
I want to hear, Coach, what was it like when you were the quarterback with the Dogs?
That's a good one, actually. Because the obvious answer probably is Todd Hartley, just because he seems like the most energetic guy on the coaching staff outside of Kirby. Seems like you'd have some great conversations. Since you chose Nate, I'll go with someone else, although Nate probably would be my first pick as well. I'd like to talk to Gunner for an hour. I'd like to really get to know this person and this quarterback and the guy that we cheer on every Saturday. Yeah. I'd like to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit. Because, like, yeah, he's not the most talkative guy. Seems like a bit of an introvert, maybe a little bit, like, from our perspective. But so is Brock Bowers. And I bet if you sat down with Brock Bowers for an hour, though, like, he can hold a conversation with you. He can talk to you. He's a nice enough person. Like, he understands. Like, I feel like Gunner's the same way. Like, you know, he could hold a conversation. And I'd like to know some more personal details.
Gunner is certainly a great answer as well.
Defensively, I'd either go with Chris Cole or probably KJ. One of those two guys.
Chris Cole is a solid option, too.
And then coach, yeah, I'd probably go Todd Hartley or Trey Scott. I'd like to talk to Trey Scott about – I mean, this guy's been a defensive line coach at Georgia for multiple years. Seems like there's been opportunities probably for him to leave this place and go somewhere else. Like, what is it about Georgia and this place that makes him hang on to just being a defensive – I say just being a defensive line coach, but just kind of staying put here and really not – aspiring to be much else right now, like just loves being here. I like to get to know that aspect of him. Chaz Chambliss Stan, this might be a segment question, but of the last 25 years, what 5 players do you think would have had the highest NIL valuation? So the number one answer is probably Rodrigo Blankenship.
Last 5 years.
Oh, last 5 years. That's cut. Yeah, he
bad news for you, Jwill. Rodrigo is more than half.
I'm old.
Stetson
would have thrived.
But Stetson was also in the NIL era.
Kind of.
So, but like
kind of.
He wasn't in the modern
He was
NIL.
doing Vidalia, whatever, farms,
delivering got milk commercials.
Yeah, like he was doing like OG NIL stuff.
Yeah.
Like if Stetson Bennett was just like straight out paid, like 2022 Stetson, I think he would have gotten a lot of attention from a lot of brands and whatnot. So he would have been a good one. That's kind of a hard question because last 5 years they're already being paid, you know.
Let's expand it to the last 10 years. Let's just
10 years.
Let's just do the Kirby Smart era.
So I'll still keep Stetson. Rodrigo Blankenship is certainly on this list. I feel like that. I don't. Sonny Michel would have been a lot more marketable than Nick Chubb.
I think just by choice, Nick Chubb would have been like, that's okay, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good, fam. Sonny Michel would have been pretty marketable. George Pickens, good Lord. Who knows what that would have looked like for him.
Yeah. Brock Bowers, I think, is an obvious answer here.
But he's also in that
Brock
period.
Bowers is also kind of this is a good question.
Jordan Davis.
Yes.
Jordan Davis.
If Jordan Davis peaked like he did now, like 21 was Jordan Davis's peak, and NIL was like, it was a thing. You could do it. But it was kind of just like, hey, smile for this billboard.
Right.
Maybe a fast food chain reaches out to you. Now it's like you can basically do whatever you want. I'm going to go Jordan Davis, yeah.
And then We'll just leave it at that for now. I don't want to keep sitting here thinking that's bad. That's bad podcast content. Old Man asks, does Georgia have a lack of funds, or is Kirby unwilling to pay, or both? It's not a lack of funds. I wouldn't put it as that. I wouldn't say that Georgia fans are broke or Georgia's donation pool is broke. It's not a matter of that. I would kind of steer it towards, like, it's not that Kirby is necessarily unwilling to pay, because I think that Georgia pays their players pretty handsomely. They're just not willing to pay what some of these other programs are. They're not going to go bar for bar when it comes to NIL deals or salaries for players on the recruiting trail. That's just not them. Their price is their price, and they're not going to overpay for a player. Like, they have their valuation, and if it gets past that, then they'll continue to recruit them, but that dollar amount probably isn't going to change very much. So I wouldn't maybe say it's unwilling to pay. It's just more so they have a different strategy about it. They're just not going to fork over whatever it takes to get a player to commit. They're just taking a different stance on it.
By the way, I found the James Cook play for you.
Oh, I can't wait to watch this after the show. Are you able to fast forward? Or Swishy Swish says, are you able to fast forward the offseason so we can watch some football? That would be great. Thank you. I'm begging.
Guys,
I wish.
Has anyone watched Click?
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
Do not fast forward time.
Don't skip life phases. These are all very important parts of your life.
Also,
you never know.
Just get some hobbies.
As my mom used to always say, and she listens to the show, so I know she'll be proud of me for saying this.
Oh,
don't ever wish your life away. And see, if we did wish our life away, we would have completely skipped past this part of the show where Brooks walks in and he gets to join us for the last 16 minutes of the show.
Are you going to have to get out of your seat, Jwill?
I guess I am. Should I just go ahead and do that?
Sure.
I suppose I should. I'll go ahead and open up the chair for
I'll make some room for you. What's the next question to ask while we're...
The next question we have is from Little Dino Nugget. Top 5 ways to get through this offseason. You, sir, didn't watch the show the other day because we did this.
Just get hobbies, guys. Listen to music. Find something. Go fishing. If you like golf, do that. I won't be joining you, however. What we got next, Jwill?
Welcome in. We're doing Q&A at the moment. So you're coming in at a good time. No stress. We also left some film to potentially watch.
Oh, my Lord.
I had to lower that a little bit, you know.
What's up, boys?
Not much. Just doing a Thursday show.
It is about that time of this tour where yours truly is exhausted.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I bet.
And guess what we get to do tomorrow? We're going to drive all the way out of Troy, Alabama. Yeah, for Thomas County Central versus Auburn High. And then
we're already having spring scrimmages?
And then drive from Troy, Alabama to one of those beach towns in South Carolina. Matt Gladson is getting married.
Oh.
They have a bachelor's trip to go to. And be sober Sally up there for 3 days. I'm like vibrating off no sleep, and I feel weird and awesome. It's great. How are you guys? Y'all have a good show?
We have.
I didn't listen to a word.
That's okay.
All right. It's been going pretty well.
Here's what I've been contemplating whether or not I should say this. I've been doing this tour 6 years, Jonathan and Christian, and 8 of the 12 playoff teams are in that Dropbox file now. It's like 15 schools.
Hell yeah.
That I talk to on a day-to-day basis now. This time of the year for this, it's gotten crazy.
I bet.
I almost want to name the schools because the schools that don't contact me, including my alma mater, embarrassing. Because the great ones, the schools playing for national titles, recruit this state, and they see all they do. They just pull up their timeline. And they're like, "Oh my God, there's this guy that's seen 45 of these places." Wait a minute. He walks around with a phone and videos everything. And then the rest of you, I'm like, what? You. I'm talking about you. I get so mad at you this time of the year. You. Poop on y'all. Mad at y'all. Every year this time of the year, super angry. Because I'm a nobody. It's not a me thing. It's the state, okay? But the idea that I got 15 of the sport's best programs calling me, and some of y'all don't, is goofy. And it's not calling me for my opinion. It's calling me for what I got. What's up, boys?
What's the next question?
What'd y'all talk about tonight? I know y'all doing Discord Q&A. I'm ransacking.
Okay.
What'd y'all talk about tonight?
So we talked about which programs would have the biggest long-term benefit from a national championship.
I thought it was like has to win.
Well, that's kind of the sentiment of like
Texas has to win.
Well, you need to win a national title because the benefit of this would be great.
Oh.
So kind of that sentiment. And that's
well,
too
then
long.
in that sentiment, Texas doesn't need anything. Did y'all see that graphic?
Yes.
145 million?
But imagine if they win a national title.
Yeah, what are they going to get? 200 million?
It's kind of like what we said with Texas Tech. Like Texas Tech already spends a whole bunch of money. Now imagine if they won a national title doing that. It's not going to go down. It's only going to go up. How do we sustain this? We spend more money.
Yeah, I don't know if Texas Tech, I think that's more tied to like oil. Whereas like Texas is tied to a bunch of people giving money. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Where I think Texas Tech has a lot to do with Cody Campbell and like 17 of the basin's richest Red Raider fans. Whereas Texas has like 7 billionaire families and then like 170 multimillionaire families. And that's just in the Austin area.
Well, this is a somewhat Georgia-related topic, also national, that we touched on. Jared Curtis being in the Nate Bargatze movie.
Yeah. I was told today it was actually filmed in Georgia.
Makes sense.
So there's that.
It's a pretty big hub for
Yeah,
movies.
I got all get off my Lonnie on social media on that one. I just find it not weird. Weird's the wrong word. It's a sign of modern times that we have an individual that's gonna play a role in a movie before he ever plays a down in college football.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me.
Our take on it was it's cool to see, though, that this is like a legitimate NIL type of event. Like this is what we envisioned it being.
Oh, for sure.
Jared Curtis being paid for his name, image, and likeness in a movie. He's being compensated for that. That part is great.
I have a new take. I'm done recruiting high school quarterbacks if I'm a college football coach. I'm done. You're telling me that like a 4-star in general nowadays is going to cost you about $1 million. Not a 5-star. I'm not talking about what we all deem to be a certified known going to be a thing. I'm talking about like a developmental, he's pretty good. We hope he might work out. Maybe he doesn't. It's going to cost you $1 million just to get him there. And for him to sit on your bench for 2 years and develop and hope he's not. Nah, to hell with that. Give me the all-conference guy from the SoCon or the American, and I'll pay him 1.8 because I know he's a thing. I know I've seen him against grown men. I'm not having to, and I'm not saying Jared Curtis in general. I'm talking about any high school quarterback. We've watched all the 27 guys. Apart from Garrett Nussmeier's brother, who just transferred, who's playing dudes? Who's playing good comp?
Not anyone I can think off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It's all Jimmies and Johnnies out there that are not going to play college football, that we have no idea. I mean, it's one thing to say like college to pro. It's a coin flip of whether first-round draft picks are going to be something. It's a crapshoot in high school recruiting.
To a certain extent, yeah.
They're like, imagine, okay, without naming any names, imagine a 4-star quarterback signing at Georgia nowadays that costs $1 million. Sits on the bench 3 years, can't ever crack the lineup, but loves the dogs, going to stick around. That cost me $2.5 million before I realized, you see what I'm saying?
Sure.
I just, it's such a, I don't know if the guy can even play. Like the Peter Bork example for like they weren't going to pay him a bunch of money, but Vatek is.
Right. So
if Vatek swings and misses on that, it's $3 million down the drain or whatever it was over the next 2 years. I think Lane's doing it the right way. Just give me a known commodity. I'll pay for him.
Yeah, I mean, Lane's – I think it's also –
Indiana's doing this too.
Well, to a certain degree, Lane does it the right way. Like
at the quarterback position. I'm not talking about everywhere. I'm talking about just this position.
But like,
it's so hard to evaluate high school quarterbacks.
Like how much did they flush down the drain with Austin Simmons last year? Austin Simmons was their guy all spring going into the fall. He was their guy. He was probably paid QB1 money and ended up collecting dust on the shelf by the end of the season.
But Kirby, they took 2 out of the portal last year, not just Trinidad. They took another kid out of another mid-major that never even played a snap for him.
Right.
So I mean, it's a thing that he does. And he did it again at LSU. He paid Levitt a lot of money, and then he took the kid from Elon,
Right.
paid him a lot of money, and then he took Husan Longstreet, paid him a lot of money.
Right.
So
how is that doing it the right way? If he's
I'm just saying, to me, it's doing the right way in the sense that we know we have knowns at the quarterback position in the room. Yes, they cost a lot of money, but at least we know they're knowns.
Okay.
They can play the position at a high level.
I think you need a happy medium. I think you need both, because if you just go the portal route, you're also putting yourself at risk of your depth isn't going to be as good either. Because
there's more turnaround.
if you're just making yourself a suicide to the transfer portal, you're going to have a known commodity as a starter every single year, but you're not going to have the depth because kids are going to understand what the deal is at that program. They're just going to find a body out of the portal. You need guys that love that place, that are willing to commit to you, that could develop over the next few years. And if those guys don't work out, then you go get the known commodity.
Miami's doing this as well.
Yeah.
Now, it does open yourself into risky situations where you're late in the cycle and you have to go tamper with the Duke quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have a guy.
Or you put yourself at risk like Texas Tech did, where you pay a guy a lot of money.
I mean, we didn't.
I'm just saying, though, it doesn't even have to be about being suspended for a season.
Is it illegal to hire a private investigator to figure that stuff out before?
I don't think so. But I'm more so saying, they lost their QB for what looks like a year. If your quarterback sustained an injury and you just put all your eggs in the transfer portal, your season might just be cooked right then and there. And that might be the case for backup quarterbacks in general. And
it could be cooked in the sense that, this past portal cycle was not very good. I didn't think comparatively from a quarterback's perspective. So if you're dependent upon it, and then the portal window gets around here and the ingredients aren't very good, then you're screwed.
My take on it,
I'm not saying solely on this, but man, it's more of a take of just the high school recruiting of quarterbacks nowadays is getting bonkers.
Yep.
I have to pay you what?
Yeah.
I have to pay you how much? I have to pay you $1.2 million.
Yeah.
For a 260th ranked overall player because he plays quarterback, and we don't know if he's any good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we know he's talented, but we don't know if he's any good. That's hard for me to swallow.
My take on it is that it involves luck anywhere you go. Whether you recruit the high school, whether you recruit out of college, whether you're getting known commodities. Georgia's gotten 2 Power 4 starters to commit to them as, hey, this is going to be our guy. And neither one of them has worked out. One walked away from the program before even taking a snap. So it's it's a crapshoot either way. Georgia's best player, best quarterback in all of these guys is a former walk-on that they got back out of the JUCO program.
The real issue, too, with recruiting and having to pay so much for high school quarterbacks is if I get a 5-star or a high-end 4-star at another position, that player will play immediately. If he's good enough to play, he's going to play. Those quarterbacks are likely going into a room where they're going to sit for at least a year, maybe even 2, and the dollar amount that I'm already paying them is just for them to sit there and not do anything.
Tough.
It's tough. It's part of the nature of the business, unfortunately.
Yes, it is.
Maybe just just get to tampering early. A freshman's playing. That's what shocks me about Malik Washington still at Maryland. Good for him for being, loyal to that football program. Mm-hmm. But that was very clearly an obvious hit last year. That kid can play the position. Same thing with the kid at NC State, the Bailey kid, CJ Bailey. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised. Both of them are still there and didn't get $4.5 million tampering offers.
Same for Sagabatule. He was a hit at Cal and he stayed.
Yeah. For now. Yeah.
But he did.
I think the new head coach did a good job doing that.
Mm-hmm. I do want to get your take on this before we close out tonight's show.
We got plenty of time. Let's linger.
Okay. Tamoris Campbell, thoughts on him?
The new linebacker commit.
Yeah, we have the tape pulled
I haven't even watched it. I've been on the road.
We haven't watched it either.
Here's what I've been told about him. This isn't just it reads like got offered 3 days ago and committed. It's been tracked, heavily recruited prior to offering. It's very weird how they do that. Georgia's I offer you at 14 or I wait until you're ready to commit elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And I'm hey, want to be a dog? Mm-hmm. It seems like those are their 2 recruiting strategies oftentimes. Do we want to watch this?
We can, yeah.
Okay.
We have the lav mic right here for you.
Let's do it. think listed at 6'1", 220. Is that what I saw?
I believe so, yes.
All right, I'm going to just hold this lav because I'm double chained up tonight and that thing be clanging. Here we go. Now, is this South Florida, Jonathan, or is this Florida? What
I
we
believe
got
it's
going
South Florida.
It's South Florida, so we should see some speed all over the field. I'll tell you one thing off first rip. This kid moves really, really well.
Yeah, very smooth.
Knees outside the ankles. We're slightly bow-legged in our stride pad. Oh, yeah, we're bow-legged. Oh, yeah, we love this. Okay. Did we get 15 on that, Kirby?
I don't know.
Yeah, old 3-star U, huh? Mm-hmm. Old 3-star U taking kids playing in state title games. This is against Chaminade right here. This is where Jeremiah Smith played. Or does he play at Chaminade?
I think he might have used to. And then I think he's transferred to some other school that has Miami in the name.
He's not at Miami Central, is he?
It might be that, yeah.
So he went from Chaminade to Miami Central? We're playing at dude programs. Ooh. Hey, look at our ability to avoid blocks here in the box, Kirby, on this green dog pressure right here. He sees pass, or he's reading run. Now he's got pass. He's just avoiding blocks the whole way through.
Yeah, classic dip and rip on that first block.
Mm-hmm.
So he did play at Chaminade, and then for his final year, he transferred to Miami Carroll City.
Okay.
He also played at St. Thomas Aquinas.
So we got a 3 high schooler.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But all in the Miami-Dade area is what it sounds like. So
not moving across the country or nothing like that.
That's Diabell right there. Texas commit. Texas enrollee, excuse me. All right. He can play ball.
Definitely.
Yes, he can.
Yeah, he can play ball. I think there's going to be a lot of, in the Georgia class, a lot of, now this is what I've been told. All that being said, they could rattle off like 6 in a row because they feel like they need some momentum. I have no idea. But it seems to me they're going to kind of make dudes earn it with senior tape. I think especially at quarterback now. I think at quarterback now you're going to see them sign some out of nowhere, some kid from Salt Lake City, Utah that's got a howitzer on him that ain't nobody heard of that was going to go to Idaho State or something like that. So
Idaho State.
With electric senior tape.
Yeah, that would fire the fans up, I'm sure.
So
we got who from where? Bro.
What else was on the show sheet today?
We did fan base superlatives. So we did Kirby's top 5, which actually was very loved by the chat.
That's right.
So first time ever for that.
What'd you do?
Video games.
Huh. What was number 1?
Guitar Hero 3.
Come on, dude. Knowing him, Guitar Hero. You knew it was going to be.
Any Black Ops on that?
The Black Ops 1 was. I tried to limit it to
Which one was the RCXD car?
Black Ops 1 was the first that.
The one you could drive and like blow up.
Yeah, no. I'm trying to think if they did it in World at War. I don't think they did. Black Ops 1 was the first RCXD.
It sounds like a Black Ops 1 thing.
Black Ops 3 can burn for eternity.
I don't hate it, but I didn't play it.
If we got jetpacks on, like,
it's overhated.
Could you imagine the freaking demons nowadays with that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah. Well, now that people have adapted to it, yes. But at the time, it was overhated.
Yeah, I thought it was Black Ops 2. That's my favorite Black Ops.
Yeah,
Black Ops 2 was a great one.
Nah, I ain't gonna do it.
All right.
Georgia Tech, Texas A&M, Indiana, Ohio State, USC, UCLA, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia Tech, Mercer.
Shout out.
I'm good. Y'all good?
Yep.
Good.
You have the mouse, by the way, so you need to end the stream.
Oh, how do I do this? I gotta like wait for a 4 count and then end stream.
Yeah,
right?
usually